What kind do you want?
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show. Really happy to have you here on this 4th of July weekend. Of course, as you know, as all of you are coming from all over the world, we're not just Americans here, but most of us are, and we do appreciate all the love and kind comments we've gotten from various people from around the world. It is very interesting. Um, I this weekend I got a lot of comments on the 4th of July here in Japan. Good ones, positive ones, omenito, congratulations type of stuff. And I thought that was really interesting. I've been in Japan for over 30 years now, and no one has ever mentioned the 4th of July ever, which is, fine. It's not America, right? But a lot of people this year noticed, and of course, Japan even put a big old fireworks and drone light show for us because it's our 250th. It just this year was a bit different. A lot of Europeans and other peoples also made comments, positive ones, not negative ones, because you know how it usually goes. So this year is a little different. The feel good atmosphere in America. And of course, we know most of America is actually pretty safe, nice place, right? There are certain cesspools, but then again, every country has that. But in general, the Europeans come over for the World Cup and other foreigners have noticed that, hey, you know, America's pretty nice. Americans are friendly and fun. Huh. And that has created such a positive atmosphere, at least the perception of one that has washed over America. It's very interesting that Americans have been patriotized by foreigners. Huh. Not what you would expect. But nevertheless, happy 4th of July. Hopefully, everybody had themselves a really good weekend, enjoying some grilling, maybe some barbecue, time with friends, maybe some fireworks, which is kind of our thing. And hopefully it all went really, really well. I watched a bunch of stuff myself after I got back. It was all kind of after the fact. I was up in a city because it was my son-in-law, not my son-in-law, my grandson's 100th day of being alive. Now I know
Oh my.
we don't do that kind of stuff, but I've said this before. I don't mind all the Japanese stuff that they
Isms.
do.
Yep.
Well, because it's an excuse for the family to come together and be together and do something. I like
Right.
that. I like that. We don't really have that in America. Now, to be fair, we're kind of always with each other anyway, you know.
Yeah.
But I do like this little aspect of Japan. So we did that. We went to the worst restaurant on planet Earth.
Yeah. Well, that's a big claim, Chester. That's a big ask there.
No, it's all washoku. Traditional Japanese stuff, of course, is all made with, pickling materials, so it doesn't, go bad as, in the past. Therefore, it
Yep.
all has that kind of sour, sweet, overly salty flavor. You know what I mean? Everything.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But of course, it's a big old huge meal with all different variety. I didn't eat anything. I was like,
I love it.
I'm 56 years old now. Maybe I should just stop pretending, you know. So, and then
No,
the
it's
one
funny. I
thing
was
they
just
had, two little slices of steak, was
yeah,
probably the
little
worst steak I've
slivers.
had in years.
That's saying something because
Yeah.
it's pretty hard to make steak terrible. But I've seen
Well,
people do it.
if you don't salt your steak before, all that blood gets kind of cooked on it, right?
Yep.
Had that
I
iron in it.
I I had a somebody on the internet earlier was arguing that Chinese food's terrible, like actual Chinese food's terrible. That really wasn't my argument. I don't really care if it is or not. But then they said the egregious shit that Vietnamese food is the best. And I said, no, you don't get, no. You're wrong. Your opinion is wrong, and your taste buds are wrong because Italian food's the best. And I'm not even Italian, but it's the best. They do it all right. They can do everything better than everybody else. It's crazy. That's all. I just like to argue with people about food.
That's sure. I in my opinion, probably the worst Chinese food I've had is in China, though. Honestly,
everybody else does it better, is what you're saying.
Americans kill it. And to be fair, those Chinese have been there for a long time, longer than we actually think. Like I said, there's very strong evidence that at a minimum, they're the ones who built San Francisco, a long time ago.
Long time.
They've been in the states a long time before it was the states, and therefore they've developed kind of a different cuisine. And Americans kind of have a way of upticking everything.
That's right. Bigger, go home. That's
bigger,
it.
Go home. And of course, once again, that's the Europeans and other people who are coming into America now for the World Cup have noticed that. And it's like, well, yeah, why do you think we're all fat, dude?
Yeah, because our food's amazing and it's huge.
And
it doesn't need to be.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be, but why not? Fuck you. That's why. Yeah. That's why we make it that big.
That's why. But over here in Japan, I kind of prefer their take on the Chinese food as well. So,
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I remember, I lived in China, right? I mean, I was there.
Right. I saw a video earlier of this gentleman who was talking about how, he was over here for the World Cup watching, and he watched, I don't know where it was, somewhere in America, obviously. They were about to do the national anthem in one of the big stadiums, and basically everybody was singing it, and they were all happy, and, he said, all you Europeans, like myself, you all have your flags up. You're all real patriotic and stuff right now while the World Cup's going on. For the Americans, that's all the time. That's all the time. When you leave and come home, you're going to take your flag down. Theirs is going to stay up. That's the difference.
It is.
And he was talking about, one thing that the rest of the world could learn from America, as he's learned while he was over here, is they're incredibly polite. Everybody outside, has this idea of Americans being dickheads, basically. And it's just not true. In my experience traveling the world, Americans are by far the most cordial people, openly cordial, to ridiculous levels sometimes. Whereas in a lot of places, you behave that way, and they look at you with suspicion or worse, because you must want something. No,
yeah,
don't want anything. Just being nice. Don't want nothing.
Of America often gets that response. But to be fair, they're imagining that it's New York.
Right. Right, that's the problem. Everybody thinks
it's a Hollywood effect. Yeah, it's a Hollywood effect.
It's these liberal shitholes, but then they go out into the rest of the country like, wait a minute, these people are kind of awesome. Yeah, we kind of are.
It's kind of like East Europe. Everyone has their image of the Eastern Europeans. The other Europeans always looking down on them, and they consider them.
Right.
They'd rather have Africans than Polish people, for instance, which is weird. But
which is outrageous.
If you actually ever speak to an East European, they're way more polite than the West Europeans.
Right.
They're quite they're quite correct in their etiquette and manner. And there are plenty of other people. I mean, Muslims are actually some of the most warm, friendly, and hospitable.
It's unfortunate that they're snakes and they're only using that so they can stab you in the back, but they are.
Well, good job.
Yeah. For instance, one time I delivered a couch to some Muslim family, and now you know how they are. The whole family was there.
Oh yeah.
And he had to go get the rest of the money. He didn't have enough cash, so he went to go get the rest of the cash from the ATM on the corner. And we were just hanging out with his family. And they got us some drinks and everything. Like, they were super cordial. Asked us everything. Asked us about like religion and stuff, all sorts of stuff. There was nothing weird about it at all. The only problem is, I know about Islam. I know what taqiyya is, and that's exactly what they were doing. It's not real. The difference is the Americans is real. It's not fake nice. We're just nice. Like, we just care about each other a little bit. And especially as you get away from the bigger cities, you get out into like the heartland and into
Oh yeah,
the east or the
Redneck
west.
great. Yeah.
It gets more and more like that. And I think a lot of these people were just completely stunned.
Right.
And one of the things this guy said, he said, I never really agreed with this until I saw it, but an armed society is a polite society.
Damn
and that's
right.
correct.
Damn
Because it doesn't matter if somebody's physically less imposing than you, that Colt 45 in their pocket makes everything equal. Now everybody's
does.
equul.
It does.
They'll blow a hole right through your chest, whether you're big, strong, and beautiful or not. Doesn't matter.
Well,
So,
yeah, it's true.
just how it is.
And even I was when, of course, I was very little, but even I was sucked in by Hollywood, right? Because when I went to the South, because I was traveling around, right, when my dad in his service and stuff like that. So I had this typical, and that's a kid's, TV image, right? But
Right.
rednecks and hillbillies, they always make them look like violent and stupid and
Mm-hmm.
hateful and all that kind of nonsense. I actually was kind of worried about having to go down in there. And, they have their issues, to be fair. But yeah, they're not like that at all.
No, they're chill.
I
They're
would
just completely chill.
Yeah, I'd hang around rednecks all day before having to sit down with a bunch of New Yorkers.
I think most people would, to
Yeah.
be honest with you, once they see the difference.
Especially
And
if they
that
start
is, I
bringing out
think,
their iced tea and mint juleps. I'm all day for that
I
shit.
think a lot of people. I saw Count Dankula. I don't know if you know who that is, but the British. He's a
I do.
comedian,
Yeah.
a Scottish actually, and he posted a tweet something about he must be in America. He said, "Man, American lemonade beats anything we got to drink. It's not even close." I said, "Yeah, correct. Now
Yeah,
I know why we're so
but
fat. Our drinks are amazing. We don't have to drink beer because we can't clean water. All right, we drink sweet things because we want to, not because we have to."
well,
So
compared to a lot of cultures, America is not really a drinking culture. I mean, alcohol,
no,
not
no.
really.
We don't need to be. We don't need to be.
No,
We don't need it. I mean, yeah, you'll have your times, you'll have your moments, your occasions, or whatever.
sure.
By and large, most people are going to want a nice cold glass of iced tea or a nice lemonade or a pop over a booze because they taste better.
They do.
Period. They just
They
taste
do.
better.
Well, I always had this image once again from Hollywood.
Yeah.
And of course, being a kid in America, you're always going to the parties, but mainly what were we drinking? Cheap beer, right?
Right. Because it was cheap.
Because it was cheap, and you have the Hollywood image, everyone in the bar, and I certainly been to I went to nightclubs, really, not bars, but it was
Right.
mainly just to dance and try to pick up some girls, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but um, but yeah, that image, I didn't realize it until I started traveling, and I ran into actual drinking cultures, and it's like, oh, it's not, oh, that's different,
hmm
yeah, because they
What's
drink,
weird to me is how proud they seem to be of their alcoholism.
oh yeah,
And I find that fascinating.
oh yeah.
Like, what are you proud about? Like, it's not. It doesn't take skill to drink. It might take endurance and stamina and resiliency to build up a tolerance to where you can just pound it. Sure, I'll give you that. But it's not. I don't think there's anything to be proud of unless you're like from a culture that makes very specific liquors, like the Scots, for instance. I don't really see what you're so proud of. You're drinking crap, fermented, rotted shit. That's why it makes you
Yeah.
drunk. It's poison.
Yeah.
You're drinking
No,
poison.
that is true. And, I've had my moments where I'm like, screw it, and I just drink with them. But a
Right.
lot of times, especially over here in Japan, they didn't really know how to make of me, I think, because a lot of foreigners who come in try to capitulate. And for me, when in Rome, do as the Romans, I do not take in the same way a lot of people do. For
Right.
me, being when in Rome, do as the Romans means do not disrespect their culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm a guest here. That's how I take it. I don't just I'm not Japanese, I'm an American. Why would I
Right.
be Japanese? Right? So I don't do it like that, and I think I confused a lot of them initially because I'm being very polite and respectful. I'm not being rude at all. But a lot of times I would simply say, "Oh no, thank you," and they were befuddled. They don't understand someone not drinking, especially when occasionally I would drink with them and then drink them under the table. They didn't understand it.
That's the other thing that's funny to me is how many of these cultures think that because Americans drink mostly swill beer, and we do.
And we
It's
do.
just the truth. They think they can outdrink us. No, sweetheart. We've been in the trenches with the bad shit. You think that good high quality shit's gonna do something? No. I've watched men overseas try exactly what you said and be befuddled that these Americans were just out drinking them, and they were doing it casually.
Yeah.
Yes, they
Well,
were. I used to watch my father and my uncle. They'd do a case of beer a night each. They just pound them. They didn't. It was easy. Boom, 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 boom. They weren't even that drunk by the end. I was like, how are you even functioning?
Yeah, but
Well, it's because they were eating a 40 chicken wings at the same time. They were smashing. They were having a good time.
They were having a good time. But I mean, it's a lot of times it's just because we have an extreme tolerance to alcohol, seeing as it's been in our culture forever. Because like I said, we talked about this before. Initially, it had nothing to do with alcohol; it had to do with clean drink.
Right.
Not being
Right.
poisoned by bad water. It's a shame that Europe has such a bad water problem. They still do. And I
Yes.
think that's a big part of it because coming over to America, we just got gorgeous water everywhere.
Right. We got the Great Lakes. We got all these rivers with fresh water in
Just
them. You can
beautiful.
drink right out of them. It's beautiful. It's
And
the land of milk and honey, Chester. I don't care what anybody says.
yeah, but I don't understand how they fouled their water so much, especially because you're looking, this goes back a long, long time. This isn't recent industrial revolution crap. This is ancient.
Right.
So how did you foul your water up so bad? What the hell did you do?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
sure somebody knows out there in the world, but it
I'm
isn't me.
sure it's not me either. It
It's
should
just
be me. I'm the history
it's
guy.
an interesting query though, because it's like, what happened here? Other places don't necessarily have this same problem. Some do, but not all of them. Why is, especially when it's Europe, like Europe before America, which is really just Europe too, uh, was like the cultural and scientific center of the world for so long. How did you fuck this up?
Yeah, what did you
This
do?
is
What
like a
happened?
key thing here,
This is kind
guys.
of weird. Whereas here with Japan, of course, China is a different conversation, but and that's the thing you don't understand. You come over here, a lot of people
Yep.
like, oh, well, they're all Orientals. No, no, it's not like that at all. But the Japanese are interesting because they've always had clean water. They still do. Water's great
Right.
here. There is no
Nice
befouled
and
water
fresh.
in Japan. Uh, but yet they have a very ancient alcohol culture.
Hmm.
And I'm like, why?
It's
What's it
interesting.
for? Just to get drunk, I guess. But because they're
If
way
someone
more of a
asked,
drinking culture than we are, and they can't drink
oh
for
yeah,
shit.
no, well they're little tiny nothing men. Come on now, like
Yeah.
5'5".
Well, it's
What
a
do you expect
DNA
here?
thing also. But
Um, but somebody asked online recently. They were asking the so-called white supremacists that exist somewhere on the internet why they seem to give a pass to Japan, and what is it about Japanese people in general that makes them okay in their eyes. And it's very simple. It's because they have a very similar culture. They have a warrior poet culture, is what they're
they do.
largely based on, and that's why we get along so well. It's why America gets along with them so well. We're the current warrior poet dominance. Warrior poet culture is the culture to have, historically speaking, if you want to dominate culture in the world. The
Yeah.
Romans were warrior poet, the Greeks before them, like the Japanese. When the Chinese were actually doing things that mattered, they had a warrior poet culture. Then they decided they just didn't want to anymore. Who fucking knows? And my point is, that's why. It's very simple. Because the idea that people just hate races is just not true. Nobody actually hates a race. They hate what that race represents, right? The stereotype or the whatever, or even maybe the reality in their personal life, what
Right.
they represent. They don't hate them because their color of their skin's different.
No,
That's ridiculous.
it's usually culturalism, tribalism is normal, yeah.
Yeah.
But with the Japanese, particularly, they do have the same root as us, though. We're
Yeah.
all, their foundation and our foundation. Well, if you're a Western European, is the Aryans, those
Right.
reindeer hunters. We have the same root,
Warrior poets.
and that's where they get it from. Like Bushido was a big scary thing that the American government tried to push about Japan and trying to get rid of Bushido. But Bushido came from those Aryans. It's not a Japanese creation, right?
Right.
So
Very
I
old.
I think we just kind of recognize each other as being because we are. If you compare Japanese culture to, say, modern Scandinavian culture, it's shocking how many things line straight up.
Yep.
It is. But yeah, the Japanese are a bit different. The Koreans a little bit, although they're a little bit too desperate to, knock Japan. They're a little bit too
Are the
charming.
Koreans kind of like the French?
No,
Okay. All right. Good. I can still like them then.
no. They're
Fuck the
very
French.
likable. They're nice people. I enjoy hanging out with them. Especially you being a white, foreign man, an American man,
Yep.
they
Yep.
will get in your ear and try to convince you that Japan sucks and you should agree with them. Uh,
It's amazing how much they want our approval.
they're
I
so
find that
childish.
fascinating.
Yeah, they are so
Yeah.
childish. The
Even the
Chinese don't
Japanese to
give a
some
fuck.
degree. Did you see the big firework drone display that they
Yeah,
did for
yeah,
us? I said that's right.
yeah.
We blew the shit out of your cities. That's right. That's what we like to see. That's friendship there.
Well, the
We had our
Koreans are doing
fight.
that stuff too.
We had our big fight. Bloodied each other's noses up real bad, and now we're friends. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And I honestly, I think you said it the other week. I think it's true. I think Japan is actually our only real ally in the world, at least in the Pacific region for sure.
Yeah.
They just seem to love America more than most Americans, it seems, which is infuriating, or at least
Our
a big preponderance of them.
yeah, our values and our desires collide is why.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if we're going to get to the stars like Elon wants us to do, we're going to have to keep a very close alliance with our Japanese cousins. I think that's the way. I think that's the way out of this
Yep.
planet and into the interstellar society, or even if it's not interstellar, interplanetary society. Because they claim we can't ever do interstellar, but I don't believe them. I think they're lying to me, Chester. I don't trust them
Interstellar?
physicists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust them. They've been
No,
lying.
well, I don't believe but I know better than you do. They're full of shit.
Yeah, they're liars. Every
Yeah.
one of them. Get out of here.
The Southeast Asians also are rather pro-American. They love chatting with us. I mean, Elon did just buy the Philippines. See what he does
Just
with
brought it
that.
up. I'll have that.
Yeah, he'll have that. But I saw a lot of people around the world doing little nods or little things to our 250th. I mean, it is
The
a
Germans,
milestone. So
the Germans put it on their big arch. That was
they did.
cool.
The Russians even
Um,
said, Congratulations, dude." Even
well, I
Putin.
mean, the Russians. We should be friends with the Russians. We've been over it. There's no good
So,
reason why we're still enemies. We should be
so
buds.
no. But yeah, a lot of people around the world actually were giving us congratulations, and that's nice. But I had mentioned in the offset here when we came on that the kind of wonderful little thing is you get all these World Cup people over, and they're all on the SNS, social media, and they're just
Right?
being so positive about America, enjoying themselves, that it
That's right.
kind of threw, kind of rolled this sense of patriotism through America at the exact right time. This Fourth of July has been more emotional and more patriotic than I've seen in quite a while. I
Yep.
mean, it's nice. Yeah.
It's I saw somebody say this. One of the best ways to have a party is to invite a bunch of guests over, and that's kind of what we ended up doing. With I don't know, I don't think it was intentional, but
No,
it's kind of what we ended up doing. We invited a
accidental.
bunch of Yeah, we invited a bunch of friends over. Well, at least they didn't know they were friends yet. But we made that's one of the things America's very, very good at. It's probably why we. It's probably the real reason we dominate in business is we're very good at making friends with people. We're extremely good at it. Trump's extremely good at it, as he's shown. For instance, Elon clearly can do it. He can at least get people friendly with him because fucking people give him everything. The man just walks into rooms, people give him stuff.
He is good
Uh,
at that. Yeah.
it's something that I think is very American. Is our our charisma, our swagger, right? In some places, it's considered a negative, but most of those are pansy places. Nobody cares about their opinion anyway. Uh, it's this confidence, this aura, and you've noticed it. I've noticed it when I traveled overseas. People know if you're American. They
Oh
just
yeah,
do.
they
They
do.
just know it
Yeah.
immediately. You can look like the most Canadian motherfucker ever, and they'll be like, "No, no, you're an American."
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. That is 100% true. I stand out like a glowing lamp. But
Yeah,
no, and the great thing about it, I think, is you're going to see a lot of migration from the Europeans, particularly, I think, coming into America after the fact. And hey, dude, welcome, right? It's
Yeah, come
America.
on in.
Come on in. Because keep in mind, a lot of the pushback we've had over the past, decade, well, it's more longer than that, but 15 years particularly, has not been about legal immigration. It's about illegal immigration,
Yeah,
right? Which is befuddling to us, especially seeing as how easy it is just to go through the front door,
it
you
is.
know.
It's the easiest country in the world.
And I really
Uh,
wish someone would ask the question, why is there such an, just a confluence of people, millions of them coming in illegally when it's so easy to do it the other way around? Why? I that this question has been in my mind ever since. Why is this happening at such mass numbers? I understand a certain amount of criminals or
yeah,
things like that. I get that. But we're talking mass migration. Why not just go the normal way? Why
because to go the normal way, they have to at least appear to have assimilated. And these people are so selfish. I don't give them any pity at all. They're so selfish. They believe they have a right to just be here. They don't believe they should have to follow our customs or speak our language or know any of our history or even respect any of our laws, including the most basic law of every country: don't cross our border unless we let you. That's pretty much number one on every country ever, and they can't even respect that. I have zero respect or pity for these people. I don't care how terrible their country is. Go fix it. We fixed ours. This place, 250 years is nothing historically, and we turned it into the most powerful country to ever exist. We did that. Our ancestors did that. You don't get to just come here and then reap the fruits of their labor that they did for us because your country sucks. Well, I'm sorry your country sucks. That's not my fault. It's not my ancestors' fault. It's not the next generation of Americans' fault. Why should we have to take care of you because you people are incompetent and cannot take care of yourselves?
that
That's
is
just the
a
truth of it.
that is a big part of it, to be sure. And if we got rid of the welfare for people coming in like that, it would go back to
Yeah,
what it was pretty quickly,
that's
very,
why.
very
That's
quickly.
the main reason.
Yeah,
It's
they
easier for them
appreciate
to
it.
get on the dole if
Yeah,
they're undocumented than if it
same in
is
Europe.
otherwise.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So that's why they do it. It's the Democrats and the establishment that they've built around this bullshit to try and sway electorally power to their side. That's all it is. That's all they've always been doing. And the like you said, it didn't used to be this way. Most people used to leave. They'd come here and go home because they're like, it's too tough. I can't. There's no safety net.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's
That's
not.
true.
No, that's correct. And that changed thanks to Mr. FDR, largely one of the worst presidents of all time. If Lincoln didn't exist and Obama didn't exist and frickin' that son of a bitch Wilson didn't exist, he probably would be the worst president of all time. But these people came in, they get on the dole, and then once they're on the dole, they start pumping out kids that they're not paying anything for because the taxpayers are paying for it.
Sure.
And now they can stay forever because those kids are American citizens, according to the Supreme Court, which is unbelievable that they actually ruled that way. Should it be? I mean, it's believable, but it's so obviously wrong. It's just like the Roe versus Wade decision. It's so obviously wrong. There's nothing to base it off of but complete bullshit, complete projection. But that's what happens when you put women on the court. You get Amy Coney Barrett and you get Roberts, who's a gay man, by the way. It's a homosexual. If I've ever seen one, Chief Justice Roberts likes it in his butthole.
Yeah.
Chester.
Okay.
I'm just yeah.
Well, I'm not very surprised they did it because of the original amendment. But it would have been nice if they had said, well, it is being abused, therefore we need to do something about it. Now,
Well, it's being
somebody
abused.
opposing did say that.
If you read any of Clarence Thomas's 91-page dissent, by the way, 91 pages out of one of the most stoic justices of all time, means he's like, you motherfuckers are retarded, is basically what he was saying. If you read any of that, he makes the case very clear that obviously they're wrong. There's no way you can sit there and say that the men who made the 14th Amendment were like, you know what? We want to let anybody come. Period. As long as they have a baby here, they're Americans. And you know how? One way you know that for certain is because half of my lineage still couldn't vote after the 14th Amendment was ratified, American Indians took a whole another set of laws to get their vote rights.
Sure. It
Uh,
was basically for freeing the slaves and giving them rights.
yeah,
It was all about
which they
that.
should have just listened to Lincoln and sent them home, sent them right back to Africa.
Well, we did. A
Be,
lot of them did go and created
I
Liberia.
know.
Look at that. Look how great
Well,
that's doing.
listen. Again, not our problem.
Mm.
We gave them everything you could have wanted. We gave them a place. We gave them money. We gave them laws. We set them up as best as you're going to set somebody up, and they just ballsed it up. So I don't know. I don't know what we were supposed to do. But my point is, I do think that we see with what you were talking about. You're talking about the immigration. You're talking about Europeans coming over. I would rather they come over, but if I had my way, we'd cut it all for 5 years. Period. Just close the border, 5 to 10 years, close it entirely, sort out who's here, who shouldn't be here. If for some reason the American people decide some of the illegals get to stay, which I don't think they would, if you actually presented the case properly, but if they do, so be it. But most of them got to go. They just got to go. We got to stop pretending these people deserve pity just because they're poor. No, I'm sorry. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you're worthy of pity. That's not how it works.
Me personally, I think the more direct way to deal with it is get rid of all welfare for people who are immigrating. Get rid
Trump's
of that.
working on it.
That would be a big boon. And plug a hole in the Constitution that clearly wasn't intended but is being abused, has many things. Where you have to be born in the United States of America to be president, but because it didn't specify other offices, you have foreigners that are, some foreigners are literally illegal aliens and yet are serving in political positions.
Right.
That should be nixed immediately.
The fact that ICE hasn't deported them immediately is outrageous. And the reality of it is, that's on Trump. I'm going to give him. I think he's had a great presidency. I give him an A- overall so far, and we're still got a couple more years yet. But the reality of it is, he's the one who keeps softening. He's the one who keeps backing off the gas because he has a bunch of idiots around him and corporate pieces of shit who are telling him that it looks bad. No, it doesn't. The American people have voted for this overwhelmingly for 40 years. They want these people out. Every single time Trump does something that looks a little bit authoritarian-ish when it comes to the immigration or even just militarily, usually it helps him. It's very rare where it actually lowers his approval rating. The people are begging for someone to start cracking these people's skulls. That's what they're begging for.
I know. But the problem is Trump, in the end, is a bit of a softie.
He's a boomer.
He's also an 80-20 guy. I mean, let's be fair, right?
Yep.
He is more interested in the headline. He's not the bull that leads the way. He's a mid step, right? And that's fine. I get it. I accept it. There are certain things of course, I wish he were more bullish on, but I get it.
Yep.
I get it. Because people love to say all kind of horrible things about Trump, but if you actually just pay attention, he's a softie. He is. He's actually, I think, 100% in his grandpa years. I mean, age-wise he is, but I think mentally he's just in that grandpa mode. I mean, look how he's always dragging that. What's that little niece of his? I think it's his niece or granddaughter, maybe granddaughter.
Yeah, it's his granddaughter, Kai.
Yeah, Kai. Yeah, he's always
Everyone
dragging
about,
her
yeah.
about. He dotes over her like crazy. Boy, I hope
That's his
someone's
girl.
got to hold that girl though, because she could go Kardashian in a second, dude.
Yeah, she could. But in fairness to the Trumps, they largely have not done that.
No.
I think Junior had a bit of a problem for a while, but his dad got him sorted.
Yeah.
Because Trump doesn't.
Wagons. That's true.
Yeah, Trump does not. He doesn't have any patience for alcoholism, drugs, any of that shit. He's very staunch about it, and I very much appreciate, because I am too. He doesn't really want to be around those type of people. He's very clear on this, and he tells his kids directly, none of that. Don't touch it. You have no business touching it. It's not going to do anything to make your life better. Yeah. Just stop. Just don't do it. And he gets, because his brother died from alcohol poisoning.
Well, my concern had much less to do with that, more to do with vanity. But
Yeah,
the Trumps have done a pretty good job of staying away from public vanity as well. I
right.
mean, who knows what some of them are like in private, you know. But
Well, we do know Trump likes his gold. He's a big fan of some gold. He wants gold everywhere around him at all times, to the point where it's a near religious fascination this man has with gold. Uh, he decorated the White House in all gold. Did you see the big gold eagle that they got to put on the banister of the
yeah,
White
he's
House?
gaudy as hell. It's the East
He
European gold.
loves the gold. He loves that gold,
He
boy.
does. But beyond that, though, we know that kind of what you see is what you get. I mean, he's a really good negotiator, a stubborn one. But
Yep,
in general, he's just a really kind of gentle dude, really.
it seems
Um,
like it. Yeah.
yeah, he does, and that's fine. Which is kind of where Americans are looking at Marco Rubio and, of course, JD Vance. I mean, JD
Yeah.
Vance would be, I think, the better choice as far as presidential material. But Marco Rubio is kind of that guy, if he stays the course anyway. He's kind of that guy that just stomps people's frickin' ass in, right? I mean, he's that
He
guy,
does.
and that's a lot of Americans want that right now. And honestly,
They do.
because you talk about the voices around him that that kind of get him to soften up on stuff, which I think is his normal mode, right? But he's also
Yeah.
got people around him like Rubio. It's like,
Oh
no,
yeah, like
go
Rubio,
in
like
there,
Miller,
yeah, go in there and grab a hold of that
Hegseth.
Maduro asshole and pull him out. He's like, okay, it
Yeah.
sounds like a good idea.
The only problem I have with Rubio is as good as he is under Trump. I worry that when he's out from under Trump, his more neocon tendencies will come out, and he'll
I think
start
he's
doing
turned
real
a corner, dude.
real stupid shit like push for amnesty again. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I would much rather be wrong about him because I do think it's going to be either him or Vance. I don't really think. I mean, the only one that the Democrats have that's even would even have a chance is probably that dickhead Newsom. But I don't think so. I think he's going to be one of those rare exceptions where most people are going to see right through him. Because I see, but then again, I thought the same thing about Obama. So maybe I'm just wrong. I saw right through that son of a bitch immediately. But most people didn't. They fell for the psyop of Barack Obama, the Manchurian candidate that he is. Um, and I do think that Newsom is the same way. One of the things that Vance's biggest strength is, well, I do agree. I think Rubio's got much more aggressiveness to him,
Chutzpah.
largely because he's not white, not fully white, anyways. He's Cuban, so he can get away with it because white people have this, especially in government, they have to have this certain image, or certain factions, even in their own party, will start calling them mean names. So he can get away with it a little more, especially when it comes to the Latin Americans. He can get away with a little bit more, like basically tell them to shut the fuck up type stuff. Whereas Vance has to be much more eloquent with it. He has to be, he has to be the negotiator, and literally with the Iran situation, the negotiator. And he's extremely good at it. I would say he's much more of a traditional American statesman
Oh yeah.
than Rubio is.
Well,
Whereas
look.
Rubio would be a fantastic wartime president, I think.
Well,
Fantastic.
well, look with Vance. Like he goes talk to Bill Maher. Bill Maher loves him, right? He goes
Right.
talk to the View. The most of the ladies on the View, particularly Joey Behar, love him. So
Yep.
he can actually shift some of the classical liberals because the problem that the Democratic Party has right now, they've gone full communist. And some of the
Yep.
older classical liberals that have been just hanging on saying what they have to say, they're not happy about it. And you
No, they don't want
mentioned
nothing to do
them
with it.
running Gavin Newsom, and it could happen, although the baggage on that guy. I think,
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree, dude. I think they're going to run Zoran Mondani.
Think so already? They're going to push him that hard, huh?
I do. I do.
I thought
I
they
will
pushed
shoot
him.
that nigga myself if they run that fucking up.
Okay, you get on it. Be a patriot, Grimlock. But no, I think they will run him. Because he is, if you ever listen to him speak, he's kind of got that GD Vance thing. He I
Oh,
get why
he's
people
young.
like him.
He's
Now,
young. He's
he
younger,
He's,
smoother.
he says nothing.
oh, I know.
He is 7-Eleven Obama. He says nothing.
No,
7-Eleven
dude. I know. But however,
Obama.
he moves women.
He does.
And
Women
that's,
fuck with
half the vote, dude.
The problem Mamdani's going to have is he's short. When it comes to presidential elections, you have to be tall. We've had very
Well,
few short
Well,
presidents.
here's his problem. He's not going to get. There's two kinds of women he's going to get. Retarded liberal white women in New York and California. He'll get them because they got a 40 fucking IQ. They're the only people dumber than Somalians in this fucking country. He'll get them, and he'll get old white people he'll get some old boomer white women
yeah, he
who's still
for sure.
who's close to Social Security, and since they can't sell pussy no more, the promise of free shit will entice them.
Well, they're not paying attention because that guy right there would get rid of Social Security in a heartbeat if he could. But I understand what you're saying, but the thing with Mamdani is, the point you made are fine, but the real thing is, he's a Muslim and proud of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's
Which
very
means he's lost the Southern world completely.
well, no, he's pro like the terrorist type Muslims, like that guy in charge of London. He hates white people and has said so openly. I'm kind of surprised he got elected at all with his anti-white sentiment. And of course,
Retarded white women. Did you look at his demographics? Retarded white women under the age of 30.
I know, dude. I'm well aware. But of course, the big knock against him is he's not a socialist. He's a full-on communist. Full on. Now, this is a kind of a point to talk about on our 4th of July weekend here because the communists are making a play, if you haven't noticed. They're making an open play.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had some successes. Now, to be fair, the places they have successes, you shouldn't be surprised about at all. However, they are making a run, dude. They are. And I kind of think, the best case scenario is it just splinters the Democratic Party and puts them out of play for a while, which is probably something like that is going to happen. But you're even got people like Carville and others calling for a split of the party already. So
Good.
that would be a great thing for us.
Listen. I'm fully radical when it comes to the communists. I don't think there's such a thing as a good communist besides a dead communist. He's lucky Trump isn't like me, isn't a full-on anti-communist because he wouldn't be he wouldn't be mayor of nothing. He'd be either deported or in the ground. Because I don't have any tolerance for communists. Period. They don't deserve life.
No, I get you. Did you see Trump's 4th of July speech?
I saw some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched.
Yeah, no, he's. By the way, Trump has been anti-communist long before any of us were born. Like he's been on that pretty much since day one.
Of course,
anti-communist.
His generation, my generation. Yeah, I get it. But he was pretty hardline on it, and actually, it was one of his better speeches. I mean, Trump will deliver a fair speech anytime he gets up and speaks, but he does tend to rattle on his party line that he's created too much.
Right.
But occasionally he will put out a banger. He does. He's not like some other ones, like Barack Obama. If you give him a written speech, damn, right? I mean, damn. But we know he's full of shit. But that guy can read a speach. Of course, the difference well, that's the difference with Trump. He doesn't read shit. He's just talking, right? But occasionally, he does come out with a banger, and that was a pretty good speech he gave here on the 4th.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that a lot of people are going to have to become very comfortable with the reality of the only way to stop communism is through violent force.
Yeah, the same.
If you
way
don't
we've been
prevent it
doing forever. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't prevent it before it takes root, once it takes root, you better be ready. You better be ready to actually, and I'm just going to say it, kill these people because there's no other way to stop them. We've seen it throughout all of history. They will not stop until either they destroy them or they win. Period. There is they are complete fanatics, more fanatic than even the most radical Islamist. They will do anything at any level of cruelty. Even the Islamists have some rules. They'll stop at some things. They'll go pretty far, but they'll stop at some things.
As well. I mean, Islam
is communist. But these commies have done more evil than in a shorter amount of time than just about anything else.
Yep.
When
It's
you look
true.
at some of the stuff the Soviet Union did, some of the stuff the Chinese Communist Party did, it's unbelievable. It's beyond. It's not even inhuman. It's demonic, is what it is.
Well,
And these are monsters. And anybody who wants to pussyfoot around them, you're going to get got. They're going, if they get power, they're going to kill a tenth of the population of America within the first 5 years, easily done, guaranteed. It's not even a question. It's what they always do.
it
It's
is.
what they will do.
The only good thing with America, that's different than some of the other places you mentioned, is the
Yeah.
fact that they don't have complete dominance. So, say New York. Look what's happening in New York. You got a full-on communist in. They just elected a bunch of communists. So what's happening? Well, the people who have the means are leaving. Big businesses have
Yep.
been leaving in droves. Billions of dollars has left New York City, New York State, right? California, Washington, Oregon. They're all losing huge amounts of money and investment because of their socialist leaning. So this is different than some of the other places, like the Bolshevik Revolution. They had an army. I mean, a gigantic army of people who were incredibly impoverished, and they had that power behind them, and therefore they had the time to build the state that you need to maintain that. Chinese, same
Right.
thing. America doesn't have anywhere near the level of poverty or desperation. It just doesn't. So
Yet,
no, it doesn't.
if it brings in enough foreign brown people, it will. Because the Muslims, especially, which is why Muslim communism is so dangerous. We call it Islamofascism, but really it's communism. It's not even
Sure, it's
fascism.
Marxism.
Well,
they were
the reason it's
Marxists
so
before
dangerous,
Marx. I mean, let's be fair.
yes, well, it's because Marxism is just Semitic. That's all it is. Just turned into politics. If you look at a lot of its precepts, and then you go back and read a lot of even in the Torah precepts, they're very similar. If not just straight one-to-one the same. But regardless, these people have, not only do they see, because the communists do it as an economic situation, right? Like you said, they were very, very poor, so they wanted to make things even, make things fair, in their words, equitable. Uh, the Muslims have a different poverty, and it's a poverty of the soul, and they want to bring everyone down into the muck with them,
Yeah.
into the 12th century with them, and they don't really care so much about the economics of it. These people, so when you get these commie Muslims, you got if somehow you can make a shit sandwich worse, there it is. They did it. They found a way. There's corn in it. And that's what you're dealing with. So these Mamdamis, these people like him, are even more dangerous than normal communists, right? Europeans have been dealing with communists, communist agitators, communist terrorists since always, right? Since communism was a thing. And they've had some successes here or there, whatever, but by and large, they've been able to handle it. We've had problems with them too, especially about 100 years ago. They really had a problem with them. Then we had problems with them in the 60s and the 70s, really bad. And obviously, Antifa is just the continuation of that. But these people are a different breed, because not only do they think they're right because of economic reasons, they think they're right on a spiritual level. They will absolutely sacrifice their lives for this. We already know that. The Muslims do it all the time, blow themselves up. So you have to be prepared for that. And that's one of the reasons why these Democrats, these white Democrats, are utterly retarded for bringing these people here and cheering. These people are going to murder you. They don't care if you're on their side. They don't care about any of your bullshit policies or your wonderful empathy. They're going to murder you, and they're going to rape your daughters. That's what they're going to do.
Well,
Probably your
they
sons too.
openly tell you this. Here, that's
Yes.
unfortunately true. But Milei, actually, of Argentina, right? He
Yeah.
gave an interview not a couple days ago. I think he was even mentioning the congratulations to America on the 4th in that interview. But he gave a response that I suggest you go check out. He said it so succinctly in such a correct way. But the question was about the growth of communism and stuff like that. And just to sum it up, although you should go watch it because he's way more well spoken than you would imagine from a
Right.
former soccer player. But basically, he summed it up to it's just pure envy, and their intention is not to build up, it is to tear down to their level because they are envious of what you said. And he used the correct word too. A lot of people would just openly just use the word jealousy and not understand jealousy is about people, envy is about things.
That's right.
And but it was a really good little interview response. That guy often pops off with some golden nuggets. But
Yep.
it is really about envy, and they want what you have, and they want to force you to give it to them. Of course, they're so short-sighted, and communism or Marxism in any form has always been this way. It's so short-sighted that they can't see what it's going to look like a year, 5 years, 10 years from now from doing that.
Right.
And of course, one of the biggest horrors of Marxism is it takes away ambition. And
Yep.
ambition is necessary for humans, and it's very necessary for a successful government, right? If we look at
Hmm.
the most successful communists in history, it's definitely the socialists, right?
Right.
Excuse me, not socialists, the communists of the Soviet Union, right? They had the longest run and the most successful, but look at how horrible it was anyway, right?
Yes.
Now, Muslims are basically Marxist since day one, but if
Yep.
we look at their history, the moments that you had leadership, like with the Ottomans and stuff like that, that said, "Well, let's go a little bit more capitalistic here," that's when they had
Yep.
success. If you look at all the moments, which really this new Islam we're looking at, it isn't new, but it's a regression to kind of older days, and it's only been in the past, less than 100 years, 80, 60, 80 years. We've seen a lot
Right.
of this. Because keep in mind, many of those places in the Middle East were coming off the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire was, of course, a Muslim empire, but it was more about capitalism, science, the things that build up nations. But things had gone so sour there that these type of ideologues were able to come into power, like with Khomeini, the original one, not the Khamenei, but that's a student of his, so same thing. But how
Right.
did they come to power? Well, because in Iran, there is a city called right? And
Hmm.
it sits right in the middle of the country. And in there, for a very long time, are universities dedicated to Islam, Islamic study. Their seminary. It's a seminary, right? City. And he
Right.
was one of the most respected of those scholars over there. But he was really promoting radical shit to the point that the Shah was like, "Yeah, you need to get out." So I'm not sure where he went, but I think it was Iraq. But he was basically, exiled because he
Right.
was like, "This crazy shit you're talking, dude." And of course, the problem is Reza Pahlavi, his papa was, he was a strong man. He loved spending his money, and people didn't like that, and that's what led to where we are now with Iran. But with him coming back in, keep in mind, during that revolution, it was all the universities and the students that joined them in that revolution, right?
Right.
Back in the 70s, and he made all kind of promises. This is something a lot of people don't talk about. He promised all kind of things. And you had these liberal university people, just like in America or Europe today. And of course, as soon as they got him into power, as soon as he came into power, he immediately betrayed everything he said to them, and then went about killing all of them. So all
No.
those, yeah,
What?
I know, but
I
all
don't believe
those
it.
kids that came out of the universities and fought to get rid of the Shah and to bring in an Islamic State,
Yeah.
they paid the ultimate price, right? And of course,
Yeah.
things just got worse and worse and worse and worse.
As happens in basically every revolution of all time, except surprisingly, not so much, the American one. They that happens constantly. It happened in the Soviets. They they killed them all. Eventually, even Lenin got. It happened with Mao. He slaughtered basically everybody who got him into power.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it happens repeatedly throughout history because, well, I mean, when you think about it, it makes sense, right? These people helped you get power. They know how to do this. If there's going to be a palace coup, it's going to be led by them. So pragmatically alone, it's good to get rid of them if you're trying to stay in power.
Well, King James did the same thing, and
Yeah,
that with the Strathclyde, with the Strathclyde clans. And of course, today, if I say, can you point on a map and tell me where Strathclyde is, I would assume
Yeah.
that 99.99999 ad nauseum have no clue,
I
because
probably couldn't do it, to be honest
Strathclyde's
with you.
been wiped out, right? But it was
Right.
the same situation. The
Well,
Strathclyde clans are what King James was a Scottish king, and he took
right,
London. With the Strathclydes, I'm a Strathclyde, right? We took
right.
London. And then he realized very quickly, as all of them do, oh, the only thing that can actually take me out of power is what put me in power. Made them all
That's right.
illegal. You can kill them on sight. Yeah.
Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Which is like I said, one of the reasons why the American Revolution is so unique throughout history is they didn't do that. There was none of that. There was very little actual infighting. There was in bickering, in arguing, but there was very little disloyalty among the founders. Very
Right.
little.
Because that was a true revolution, not a civil war.
Yes,
That's
yes.
why.
Well, it's also, I saw a thing, and I guess I had never really put it together, but when you think about it, the 56 men who signed the Declaration, not a single one of them defected. That's insane.
No.
Because these men, most or a big number of them, lost everything. They were killed, tortured, their families were killed and tortured. Like, that's insane that none of them defected. That's a crazy amount of loyalty. So when you think about stats like that, you think about the fact that about a third of the population supported independence from Britain, about a third didn't, and about a third was indifferent, depending on your numbers. But it was roughly that. I honestly think that the war, while necessary because the Brits started it, which is what happened, we like to be gracious, be like, oh, we don't know, we know. They shot first. Get out of here. I honestly think it was inevitable. Even if we had lost the revolution, I don't think the Brits had the ability or even the desire to oppress the Americans enough to snuff out rebelliousness.
No, and they were they had pressure in every.
They had
colony
so many problems. Yeah, they were overextended like crazy. I mean, there's a reason why they basically backed off of Canada and gave Canada its autonomy, mostly. That's the main reason. They were just overextended, and they couldn't maintain it, and they knew that. Eventually, even Napoleon, when he took power in France, the reason why he did the Louisiana Purchase, because he knew he couldn't hold it. There was no way he was holding it in his current situation. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, here, give me some money, it's yours. And that was it. And he'd much rather us have it than them damn Brits. So he's like, yeah, Americans, you can have that.
Sure.
Because if I remember correctly, the ambassador, whoever it was, offered to buy St. Louis and that region, the port, from the French. And Napoleon was like, no, give them all of it. They were like, yeah, just give them all of it. We don't need it. Oh, all right. And that's what happened. That's basically what happened. And I think that's that, plus the fact that, like I said, they didn't have the will to truly oppress the Americans. They would use their corporates and their offices and things like that to do it. But even that was waning heavily because the Americans were pushing back hard on it. So what I think, even if, say, because a lot of, like I was talking about you earlier, how arrogant a lot of French people are because they saved America. They're the reason America exists. Fuck off. Even if the French had not decided to prop up this rebellion against their mortal enemy, I do think the American people would have eventually pushed the yoke off on their own because they just were tired of it. When you have a third of the country who are openly in support of potentially and actually violent resistance, there's nothing they can do besides a genocide, and they weren't going to do that. So eventually the king was going to be forced, or the crown in general, to come to the table and either concede a whole bunch of shit or just let him go, which is, by the way, exactly what ended up happening. So I just don't think, I think when you look at like the grand scale of history, when things like this happen, when a colony or a territory decides it wants to be independent and means it, usually they get what they want, eventually. They might not do it in a revolution, they might not do it in open conflict because the empire's stronger or what have you, but over time, They just get what they want. And I think that would have happened in the Americas too, because the forces were on the pressure of time was on our side. If the Brits had the ability to crush truly that rebellion, they would have had to do it very quickly, and they would have had to do it very completely. And they didn't have that, and they never would have had that because the French and the Dutch and the Spanish were a constant problem for them across the Atlantic. So I just think it was. We like to. I think the war itself, the way it played out, unbelievable, miraculous even. But I don't think the independence was. I think that was basically inevitable once that spirit started to take root in the people.
Sure.
And you had some of the most eloquent people of all time, some of the most brilliant people of all time on board writing and propagandizing and working towards it. I mean, for fuck's sake, Ben Franklin's one of the most brilliant men in history. Period. Top 5, I would say. And he was on board from day one. He was one of the main pushers of it. So it's kind of hard to say these men were going to fail when none of them, not a single one of them, defected. That's crazy when you look at historically. That doesn't happen, but it did there.
Yeah, it is interesting when you look at it like that. I mean, the Southerners didn't really have much of an allegiance to Britain anyway. They were all French operating,
Yep.
so that was easy. As far as the colonies, it is interesting. The only place that really wasn't on their side was New York,
Right.
for in general, and of course, New York has always been this way. But other than that, the elites, not the founders, but people around them. The only, of course, famous one that defected was Benedict Arnold, and
Yes.
and honestly, he should have listened to Washington. I don't know what he was doing. He's just too petty, I guess, because
That's it.
he did fuck up. I mean, he was sent to deal with the reason we don't own Canada is because of him.
Sheer
lost-
fucking hubris.
Yeah, but
Yes, sir.
he lost
That's all
the
it was.
battle, and he came back, and he felt shame, and I don't know if his wife divorced him, but she was definitely not happy with his moping. But George himself came and talked to him, right? And
Right.
because George knew him, and George told him, dude, just chill out. We'll find a place for you. It'll all work out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he was his buddy. He was his
Yeah,
friend.
and but he just couldn't bear it, and of course he was one of the very few outside of New York who did openly rebel.
Yep.
And to be fair, most of the New York, and I'm talking about New York City, right? They had so much investment and money on the line that keep in mind the thing we often forget is everybody was British at that time or a French citizen under British rule, right?
Right.
And we often forget this. We weren't Americans until later, right?
Right. Well, they called themselves Americans, but it
They
wasn't a
did,
real
but you
thing.
know what I meant. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
No, it was just a regional distinction, kind of like how I'm an Ohioan, right?
Yeah,
I'm still American, but I'm an Ohioan.
But the New York had become kind of a money center, and a lot of those were loyalists for obvious reasons.
Yeah, that's where the money was.
It's where the money was. But it's like, of course, I do love Nick Cage for his National Treasure and educating, because it's weird that they taught you this in school, but you didn't listen. But a freaking movie educated you. This is
Well, they didn't teach a lot of us in school, Chester. That's the sad thing. Most of what I know about the revolution, I learned after school in my own study.
Right.
They simply just don't really cover it that much.
Yeah.
I mean, they do the basics, the broad strokes, but largely they just don't talk about it.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is because our education system has been captured by, Marxists, to be honest.
Long ago.
And and they just don't want to. They don't want you to know your history. They don't want you to understand that the foundation of your country was basically a fucking miracle. But it was also done by men of unbelievable character, an unbelievable resolve that, in historically speaking, might be the greatest ever displayed.
It is.
It's arguable.
It is, and it's very rare, because usually people
Yes.
who gain, who make sacrifice and gain power, they keep it. They keep that shit, right?
Yep.
And you understand
don't
why.
Washington
We all
it.
get it. We all get it. But
Yep.
all of those guys, not just Washington, all of those guys understood this was a moment in time where they needed to be self-sacrificing, and it wasn't about them.
Yes.
They got that, and that is so freaking rare. Those guys
I would
could have took
say
power, they could have made their own kingdom, but instead they
absolutely.
literally rolled it into the people. They did it intentionally. It's so rare, dude.
I will give Washington credit for being the example, the standard bearer, if you will. Uh, I wish we would listen to him more. To be honest, if you ever, I'm sure you have, but if anybody here, if you've never read or heard somebody read his farewell address, it's out there. You can find it. It's a beautifully written piece of literature. Uh, I highly recommend you do. And in it, he basically prophetically warns us of exactly what would happen pretty much right after he died, where the political parties, would start ripping each other apart because he was against political parties. He didn't think we should have them. He was also against foreign alliances. He didn't think we should have those either. We should have trade agreements, of course, with everybody. Alliances with very, very few or none was his famous quote. And I agree with that too. I think if America had listened to that wholeheartedly, instead of just sunsetting the old man, basically, uh, we'd be a much better country than we are, even comparatively. Simply because I think he's just correct when it comes to especially the foreign entanglements. They don't benefit us. The reality of it is that one of the things the revolution taught him, and should have taught all of us, is we're on our own over here. We don't need Europe necessarily. We don't need anybody else. People say, "Oh, but the French helped you out." Yeah, but they were helping us against the British, who are also European.
Who
So
they
what are we
were
talking
at
about?
war with. Yeah.
Yeah, who they were always at war with for 1,000 years. They've been at war with each other. What are we talking about?
We are
Like,
effectively their mujahideen.
yes, exactly. We didn't need them necessarily. I don't believe. I know a lot of historians would argue that. Oh, we absolutely did. We never would. I don't believe that for a
No,
second.
I don't
I think.
agree
I
there.
think that. I think that's unrealistic to what the American Appalachian Territory and the coast is like. Oppressing a people there is near impossible. Ask the federal government. They've been trying to get these hillbillies to stop shining for centuries. They've been trying to do it, and they can't because they can't get them because the terrain is impossible to navigate unless you know it. It's very similar to you said the Mujahideen. It's very similar to Afghanistan with the Taliban in their territory, as far as it's porous, it's got caves, it's mountainous, there's forests everywhere. You just can't you can't do it. It's very
Well, you
hard to
can,
ferret somebody out of there.
but you just need to kill them all, and very
Yeah,
few
it takes
people
a
in
long
history have done
time, and
that
it's not
time.
worth it in the end usually.
No.
And I think it would have that would have been the case for the British, especially considering the French were set on a course for Napoleon. I think long before even the American Revolution, I think that was brewing, and it wasn't going to go anywhere. And Napoleon was brilliant and one of the most brilliant men to ever live when it comes to rule and aristocracy and all of the things that make an emperor. And he seized an opportunity, and it worked. And I think that would have probably happened once they killed off their monarchy. I think that was inevitable for them, somebody like a Napoleon, to rise up, because that's usually what happens. That's the dirty little secret of ending a monarchy: is you replace it with a republic, and that republic lasts a generation, and then it falls into a dictator. Happens all the time throughout history. It's very rare that it doesn't, but everybody always assumes they're going to be the ones that don't, which is what people were afraid of, which is what we were just
Right.
talking about. They were very afraid of that in America. It's not going to last. 250 years it's lasted.
Right.
You, it's pretty good. We're doing pretty good, Chester. I think we're on the right track.
And that's why that moment is kind of unique, because usually
Yeah.
the people who made the power take it, and it's very a unique thing. But talking about the farewell address of George Washington, September 19th, 1796.
Yeah.
It was a really good speech. I think I agree.
It
You
is.
should go read that. But you got to keep in mind what was going on at the time that was upsetting him was Alexander Hamilton and his god of the dollar club, and the
Yeah.
troubles that they were causing. And you got to keep in mind what he talked about is so extreme from a modern American's point of view, right?
Mhm.
It's more than what you said. He thought we shouldn't have political parties at all.
I
at
know. Yeah,
all. Yeah,
absolutely,
he was
100%.
very against it. He said
I
we
agree with
need
him.
to, and I do too. We need to work together as a group, not create this
Yep.
constant state of angst and
Teamsmanship, I
competitiveness.
think he called it, was his
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
Teamsmanship. Yep.
So he was for that. He was so American isolationist. It's kind of crazy. He didn't
Yep.
think we should have any relations with foreigners. Not some, any.
Right.
I mean, he was hardcore about it.
He
And
was.
if you go read that speech and you look at where we are today, you might find you're more of a fan of George Washington than you thought.
One of the greatest men historically. A lot of it is mythologized, of course, but they all are.
Sure.
But the fact that he's able to be mythologized and effectively deified
Well, they
in
tried
a
to
place
deify him.
that didn't have that. Yes.
They
In
did.
a place that does not normally do such things is impressive. And honestly, I'm a big fan of George Washington. Of the founders, besides Jefferson and Adams, he's my favorite. I think he's underrated, his impact, and not in because a lot of people he was a military genius. No, he wasn't. He wasn't that. But what he was fantastic at is kind of like Trump. He was a great figurehead, and he knew that, and he knew how to be that, and he was that, and he had that kind of dickishness about him a little bit. Now he wasn't cruel, but he was, he was a general. He was authoritative. He had that about him, and a lot of people respected that about him. The whole world respected him by the end. If I remember correctly, a bunch of countries in Europe commemorated his death as if he was one of theirs, which is impressive. Like I think it was us that commemorated a gold coin for his death, that said, "He is in glory and the world is in tears," because he was beloved. George Washington, he
Well,
beloved.
the American Revolution inspired so much change around the
Yeah.
world. The 19th century was nothing but war, right?
Yes.
Everywhere. And you keep in mind that nearly every country on this planet has a constitution that is basically a copy of ours, right?
Right.
Now, don't ask them that because they either don't know or they won't admit it, but that's true. Now, Alan, of course you're true, but what you said is correct. Psyops or propaganda is a thing. However, if you really want to understand the American Revolution, or just the Americans at that time, or the British colonists, I would suggest, of course, if your high school textbooks are going to be full of propaganda, obviously.
Full of bullshit.
Everywhere in
Yeah.
the world is like that, and I get it. However, the best way to understand the revolution and the people at the time is to go read the journal entries. And there has
That's right.
been many collections of that put together. Don't read the statesman shit. Don't read all that government level stuff. Just go read what the people were writing. It's very
Yes.
insightful.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have somewhere, I don't remember what it's called. I'd have to dig out the book. I haven't looked at it in about a year, but I have a book here that is literally a collection of their letters that they wrote to each other, of public, like, press release type things they sent out, and obviously official documents around the time I believe it starts about 10 years before the Declaration, all the way through the ratification of the Constitution, of just various founders, obviously the big guys and even the smaller, less known ones,
Yeah.
just talking to each other, right? Writing, because that's how they communicated. They didn't do this; they wrote letters, and they wrote a fucking lot of them. So
and I'm even talking about
if
the
you want to
notables.
know, yeah, if you want to know about what these people were thinking, you can find it. It's not even that hard. It's all of it is saved in the Library of Congress.
Sure.
You can get it right off the internet. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. I mean, if you want to buy a nice compendium or whatever, that's it, bound up and everything. Yeah, you might pay a little bit for that, but it's not expensive.
Well,
and it's worth it.
Yeah, you have collections of journals from the common man. I'm not talking about politicians at all. I'm
Yep.
talking about literally common men, like the
Yep.
American Heritage Journal. I think that's what it's called. That one is a collection. You have another one. It's a little more modern, but it's just a collection. I think it's called Letters from the Frontier.
Yep.
There are these.
I read it.
Yeah, these things are different than what these statesmen are doing. The statesman stuff is great read and so eloquent, but just seeing what John Harper, a furrier in Pennsylvania, his opinions
Yep.
of what was happening or something like that. It's very, very telling, and it's interesting how many of these what we would consider common men, just blue collar workers, right?
Hmm.
How incensed they were and how politically motivated they were. Because
Yeah.
we have this image of people, where Americans are frontiersmen, of them being stupid, idiot, backcountry people. Not even
Right.
close to being true. Most of those people who did, shit jobs as you would consider today are far more eloquent and better at English than you are.
Yes. Oh, definitely. That's not even debatable.
Shocking.
Uh, I've read journals from frontier men, from frontier women, from the wives of these men.
Yeah,
Some of
the
them who
women
have
are
lost their
interesting.
husbands and had to take over, keep their family going. You want to talk about some bad bitches? Make some movies about those bitches. They were bad bitches. Uh, these were amazingly fierce women. Another one I'd recommend. Go read John. I can't remember her name, of course. Go read John Adams' wife's journals and letters to him. She was brilliant. She was, according to John, she was far more intelligent than him, which is saying something because he was brilliant. And they had an unbelievably unique, we'll call it, relationship. Deeply loved each other, but they had a way of speaking to each other that was very interesting. Uh,
Her
and she
name
was
is
brilliant.
Abigail, by the way.
Abigail Adams. Yep, you're right. She was brilliant. If you want to read somebody, she was just she was just a wife. She was the wife of one of the founders, and just a brilliant woman, truly brilliant. The writings that she sent to her husband are quite. They're just as eloquent as anything you've ever seen from anybody else. And she's just a great example of these were your mostly common people. They weren't what a lot of people have this idea, like you said, kind of like how people have this weird idea about the Middle Ages and everybody was uneducated and retarded. No, they weren't.
They were.
They were very eloquent, actually. They just didn't speak Latin. Most of them, they could read their own language, by and large, at least enough of it to get by. My point is, find it. If you want to know about the founding, right? We have 250th anniversary. Don't listen, like Chester said, don't listen to textbooks. Don't listen to historians. Don't listen to a historian. Just somebody who's read a lot of books. Got a piece of paper who said, "Hey, you're a historian now." That's it. You can do that too. There's nothing, Chester. I'm sorry to tell you, but there's nothing unique or special about what you do. It just takes time to get a level of expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing, it doesn't take talent. It doesn't even really take skill, except for, the ability to read and understand what you're reading. It just takes time. It takes effort. It takes, it takes enough time to hone it into a working knowledge to where you don't constantly need textbooks to function.
But to be fair, they had an advantage back in that day because they had no cell phones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, they had no TVs, no movie theaters. So,
Well, yeah, it would take them days to write a letter. Right, they'd be writing that letter all day. They go do whatever they needed to do for the day, and then the rest of the night they're just writing that letter. So it comes off much more put together because it is. They took their time on it. And it just shows. And like he said, you can find the journals from all these people you've never heard of before, people history don't really remember outside of these journals. You can read unbelievable stories. I've read a story of this woman whose husband died the year before in the winter, and then she got attacked by a bear and could only limp, but they just had a baby, and she ended up living like 30 more years and raised that child, and like just her whole life, basically. She kept this journal, and she was just talking about her life and how it's just crazy, some of the stuff these people went through. And for the modern American or modern, non-American, just modern person, to look back on these people with judgment, whether it's morally or whatever, you don't have the right, because you have absolutely no idea what it was like for them. It was a whole different situation. Every day was life or death. You don't get to decide that what they did was right or wrong because you weren't living it. Period. And it's one of the things, that's one of the reasons why the left and the Marxists are so enraging, and why I have no pity for them when they get got. Because these are the type of people who will look back on history, look back at these normal people and call them evil because they dared to have an opinion they disagree with.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
No, absolutely. And if you're interested in a lot of these things we're talking about, particularly at the revolution time, there are many channels, but I honestly the one I would suggest would be Townsend's, right?
Mm.
And Townsend's or the Nutmeg Tavern, um, what they do is they're completely apolitical, right?
Yep.
What they're doing is just kind of they're almost like cosplayers, but cosplayers of the 17th and 18th century.
Right.
And uh, there's so much knowledge you can get from that channel, practical, hands-on knowledge, not only of how they cooked, how they lived, how they built, but a lot of these things about people's sentiments. They will do whole episodes just reading a single letter or a journal entry from some rando living in Virginia or out in the forests of Massachusetts or something. It's a really good channel for understanding and learning the mindset of the average person of this time. It's a great channel. I love what they do, and I'm really happy that they keep it apolitical, right?
Right.
They're not interested in that. That is not the point. For them, they are rejoicing in that period of frontiersmen that made America. And so, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, Townsend's is a great resource. And they do hands-on things too. They actually build buildings that as they would at the time. They build ovens and show how they cook bread, and they all kind of little shit like this, dude. It's a really interesting thing. Now, some of you say that's boring, Chester. Yeah, and what's wrong with that?
So boring.
Yeah, what's wrong with what?
What's wrong with boring?
It is pretty good.
Um,
I'm going to go make some coffee. I'll be back in a minute. So, Grimlock, are you still alive?
Yes, I'm still alive.
Okay, good. Talk more about love of the 4th of July, and why don't you guys tell them a little bit about? I watched some shows, man. People were happy this 4th of July. There were a lot of good,
what
fun things going on, dude. It was great. I'll be back in a minute.
did you do anything for the 4th, old Grimlock, or did you just hang out?
I watched Twilight Zone marathon as tradition,
You watched
and later
what
on
was it?
the Twilight Zone marathon as
Nice.
tradition, and later on like a beached whale.
I love it. That's one of the most American things I've ever heard.
Yep.
I didn't watch Twilight Zone, but I basically did the same thing. I thought about earlier in the week driving out to DC for the big celebration, but I was like, you know what? It's way too damn hot, and there's going to be a million fucking people there. I'm good, right? I don't as much as I want to, as much as I'd love to, and go to like the Smithsonian and do the whole rounds there.
Yeah.
I'm good. I've done it before, and I'll do it when there's less people there. Because it's just going to be an absolute shit show, and I'm sure it was. I didn't really watch a lot of it, to be honest. I was kind of just in my own little world. Mostly not out of any like political reason or anything. I mostly was just chilling, and one of the other reasons I didn't go is pretty sure I have arthritis in my elbow because it was flared up all week and I couldn't really straighten it without it hurting. It's fine now, or mostly fine now, but so that sucked. And it was also, the wife was doing a remodeling project in the basement that she wanted to do all on her own. It was her call. We went to the store, she got some scrapers to clean the paint off the walls down there and off the floor, any muck or whatever that was on the floor from God knows what. Scraped it all up, got it nice and smooth, and then put a top coat on it, put a sealer on it. Just went to town on it, and she did that pretty much all weekend. And mostly I just chilled. I've been waiting for it to cool off. Looks like it's probably gonna finally cool off a little bit here. I don't know about down there. Let's see. What do we got here?
It's been humid all freaking weekend.
Oh, it was humid here for real bad for the last week or so. Looks like it's finally going to get down to somewhat a little bit more bearable. Well, nope. I'm a liar. Nope, still going to be in the 90s. I'm a liar. Don't mind me. As far as humidity goes, which does suck. It's better than it was. It was well into the hundreds, but And that's no fun. No fun with that humidity. When you get that heat index around 105, 106 or higher, that's no fun. Nobody wants that. Nobody likes that. These Europeans crying about how many of them are sweltering because they don't have air conditioning. I just get air conditioning. I don't understand the resistance to this 100-year-old technology at this point. Like, it's not like air conditioning's new. We've had it for 100 years, give or take. So, what are we doing? The environment. Listen, China don't give a shit, and we don't give a shit. Get some air conditioning. All right, you're not winning any battles here by burning yourself to death. One of the arguments I heard from one of them was, well, we'd only need it like a month out of the year. Yeah, so summer,
Okay.
summertime. That's called summertime. That's when you turn. You think we just run ours all year long? No, we turn that bitch on in the summer. But get some air conditioning over there, you sons of bitches. Oh, it's funny. No, yeah, it's nice. It was a nice Fourth. Had fireworks going off pretty much all week. Definitely over the night. It was nice to see.
It died down pretty quickly. I think it's because it's fucking humid all fucking weekend.
Yeah,
It had scattered thunderstorms, so it just made it worse.
right. Yeah, I could buy that.
Rain for 5 minutes and be fucking humid the rest of the fucking day.
Oh yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst when you get that. When it's hot out there, and let's say it's just normal humidity, right? It's a little humid, but nothing terrible. And then you get that random 5-10 minute rain shower, and now it's just misery out there.
Yes.
Just misery. Everything's humid and hot because it didn't rain long enough to cool it off, and we got just enough to make it worse. And that's what you get. Yeah, we get that too. It's so much fun. So much fun. But we did get some rain. We're supposed to get some more rain today and a little bit tomorrow, I do believe, which is going to cool us off. It's not going to be those 5-minute showers that just make everything worse. So hopefully it gets down to you guys, cools you off too.
Fucking rain all day.
Yep.
That'd be fine.
Yep. When it's hot like that, absolutely. It's boiling. 250. America is 250 years old from our official start date of July 4th, 1776. It's impressive. It's impressive what we've become, what we've done. When you stop and think about it, I saw that Spencer Pratt guy, the guy that was running for LA mayor, who was cheated out of his rightful spot, of course, posted a video talking about it. And he just gave off a nice little list of all the things America's accomplished, and that there's absolutely no reason for us not to be proud of it, proud to be Americans. And he's correct. There's no reason not to be proud to be an American. I don't care what your personal issues are with the country itself. I have many, but there's nowhere better. When people complain about X, Y, or Z thing about America, okay, where's better? Compared to where? Compared to who? Because in order for you to make a complaint, you should be comparing it to something. If you're just complaining just because, well, then that's not a valid complaint. It's just not. Right? If you don't have a point of reference of, or at least even an example or an idea of what should be better, you're just bitching. You're just whining. You're just yapping at that point. And that accomplishes nothing. That accomplishes absolutely nothing. And that's what most of these lefties do, is they just whine because they're just envious, miserable people deep down in their soul. And I think one of the reasons why you got a guy like Chester was talking about, old Ma'am Dammy, why he's successful, besides the fact that they imported a bunch of Muslims into New York City, is because he hides that very well. He hides that bitterness soul, which is
just stupid women.
Yeah, that's how he does it. Is he makes them feel okay about the fact that they're miserable and bitter. Not that he's not miserable and bitter. Not that they're not miserable and bitter. They are. But he makes them feel okay about it because, you see, it's not their fault. It's the billionaires and the trillionaires and the blah, 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 blah. Everybody else's fault but their own. Heaven forbid they have agency in their own lives. The fact that you have these idiots out here talking about how horrible it is that Elon Musk is a trillionaire, that's
Okay.
ridiculous. Why is it horrible? What's he done that was horrible to you personally, or anybody you know, to get his money that makes it horrible that he's a trillionaire? You'll get crickets, is what you'll get. Because he's done nothing but create shit. That's why he's made all that money. He just creates shit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but at least he's always out there taking swings. Simple as that.
Meanwhile, the nigga the local nigga in their neighborhood who's been robbing everybody, who's created much more misery than Elon Musk, he's not a problem.
Yep. Well, Alan, you say the empires last an average of about 220, 250 years. That's correct. But usually, well, not usually, but often what happens, I mentioned it earlier, is that say you have a democratic form of it, or a Republican form, which is what America is. Usually they get around that number, and if they haven't done so sooner, they dramatically alter. A great example, obviously, is Rome. Went from a oligarchic republic to a imperial oligarchic republic with an emperor. And that stuff happens often enough throughout history that I think I've been saying it for years on here that Caesar is coming. I don't know who he is. I do believe we've met him, the man who's going to become America's first genuine emperor. And I actually kind of think he's inevitable because history teaches us that large republic empires don't last very long. They have about that time frame as their shelf life for various reasons, but mostly it just is because of infighting. And without a strong executive to quell that, to be the target of people's resentment and bitterness, which is one of the things Trump has become very, very good as, right? He's the figurehead of that for a lot of people. They can direct all that hatred and anger at him because he's the president, because he's a billionaire, and what have you. He's become that totem of their rage. One of the main jobs of a monarch and an emperor is kind of to be the figurehead, the symbol of your country that can take the commoner, or not even usually the commoner, the elite levels anger and absorb it. And I think America is really, really, like I said earlier, when you look at the polls, which granted a lot of those are bullshit, but let's just take them at face value for a second. When you look at those polls, you'll see things like when Trump is a little bit more authoritarian, his numbers go up. When we do cool shit like kidnap Maduro in the middle of the night, kill 100 Venezuelan terrorists and don't lose a single person, his numbers go up. When Trump's out here telling people basically to shut their mouth, his numbers go up. I think the American public elected Donald Trump knowing exactly who he is. Anybody who says otherwise is fooling themselves. At his rallies, they had massive signs about mass deportations and everything else. So they knew what they were voting for and what they were voting against. And anybody who says otherwise is just being dishonest, in my opinion. So I genuinely think the American public, especially the white working class, is very ready for a dictatorial style government. Doesn't mean it's going to be full on tyrannical. Doesn't mean it's going to be full on despotic, but it's going to be far more authoritarian than we've had in the past. Hopefully it's on our side. We'll see. I think it will be. I think it will be very nationalistic, and we'll see how it plays out. I personally think America is not going anywhere, but it will have to change, and that change will be into imperialism. Open imperialism, calling itself an empire. Yeah, all of it. I think we're going to have to adapt and adopt it all if we're going to persevere to 500 years, to 1,000 years, or what have you.
Right.
I really do.
Well,
I think it's the only way.
It is a better word than monarch, emperor, because the difference between a monarch and an emperor. An emperor rules over an area of mixed nations, and those
That's right.
nations might well have very different rules and regulations specific to its people. but the
Right.
emperor is the ultimate monarch of that. Whereas a monarch is like you could have the king of Illinois, for instance, right?
Right. Right.
But the emperor, as far as how
Oh,
the
what a
American
shit
thing
job that
works,
would be.
well, I'm
King of
just saying.
Illinois. Oh.
Well, yeah, it might actually help them out quite a bit, to be honest with you.
Oh, baby.
But like in Japan, they use the word emperor, but it's incorrect. It's not a
Right.
correct translation because Japan has a singular government. There is no disparity between the various prefectures,
Right.
and there is no unique control. Therefore, he is a king. But honestly, that's not even the correct word. I would call him a priest king. Now, back in the day, where the word is coming from, at that time there were many disparate countries inside of what we call Japan today. There used to be. Now it's a
Right.
completely unified democratic, semi-socialist, ultra-capitalistic state. But
Yep.
but so these days it
Which
doesn't work. But tradition is tradition. So
only works, in my opinion, when you have basically a monoethnic state. To have that form of socialism for the people, capitalism for the market. I think that only works when everybody's pulling the same way. Everybody's in the same boat, rowing the same direction for the most part. Once you get multiple ethnicities and multiple cultures and whatever mixed into one bag, it just doesn't work. I
no,
don't think
but
that's why I don't think it'll work in America. I think we're too maybe 100 years ago, but now I think we're just too disparate. There's too many
yeah.
different groups.
Well, I was just explaining what the definition of an emperor is all.
Yeah.
And in these days, you make the joke. Ellen makes the Duke joke. Actually, whereas it's not uncommon in Roman time, you'd have many kings that were under the emperor. These days, like
Right.
with the British Empire, because the emperor is also the king of England, right, and
Yes.
Scotland and Wales, they tend to have areas, either they'll call them governors or like a duke, right?
Right.
They don't use the word king in modern times. But if America went that route, it would definitely, the emperor would be the correct word because each state is
Mhm.
a nation unto itself. I mean, technically.
Yeah. And I just do think I think it's kind of inevitable. I don't know when it's going to happen. It might not even happen in our lifetimes, but I think it's inevitable. I don't think the system we have now can sustain itself once the American population dwindles with all the foreigners. I just don't think it will. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I just don't think it will. I think it'll be forced to change from the
Well,
ethnic realities of the country.
we are seeing huge pushback as far as getting immigrants out. One, Europe
Yep.
is seeing pushback finally and getting them out. You're seeing a lot of self deportation in America and Europe,
Yep.
right? Particularly up in Britain because the locals are getting rowdy and a lot of Muslims are just getting up and leaving. Good.
See ya.
So I don't know that this current trend is going to sustain, right?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. That'll be the one thing that if we can actually get, because Trump is, I say it all the time. We've said it here many times. Trump's the olive branch, and they don't want to take it. Okay, he's as moderate as you're going to get. It's only getting more radical from here, both directions, because the establishment, the people in power, the aristocracy, if you will, of America, which is the political class, refuses to allow itself to be reformed. Refuses. Not only won't, abjectly, violently refuses it to the point where they rig elections and kill people. Okay, as President Kennedy said, you make a peaceful revolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable, and I think that's largely where we're heading. I don't see the violence toning down, but one way that it will, the only real way, is if we have a long enough period of, it doesn't even have to be necessarily Republican rule, but people who are sane on immigration,
Just conservatives. Yeah.
that to nothing, basically, like Trump has done, where it's actually, we're already in a state of remigration overall, which is good. If you keep doing that for long enough, you can, I think, balance it out and maybe save the republic. If you do not, if for some reason that falters, which, depending on who you ask, already has, I think you're pushing yourself to where you're going to need a much stronger executive to handle the disparate nations within the empire, because America's an empire, right? We don't call it that, but that's what it
But
is.
it is. No,
Uh,
it is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I think that's where we're heading. I think Caesar's
It's-
inevitable, and hopefully after the Caesar we get an Augustus, and then everybody will be fine for a while because
That's
he was
true.
great.
Well, these things happen throughout history. It is interesting. There was a time in America where if you try to call America an empire, people get really upset with you.
Real mad.
But these days, everyone just kind of accepts it, don't they?
Yep.
But yeah,
Same
no,
thing happened in Rome, by the way. They
yeah,
didn't like to be called an empire either.
no,
They
they
were.
didn't. But there are things that are changing, and we need more change. We need it. Some people want it more quickly, and I understand that. And honestly, sending people home, the getting the illegals out, has been escalating and accelerating continuously over the past year and a half.
Yep.
And I think it will continue to do that. And if you start getting some things in Europe or in America or actual vigilanteism, you'll see it speed up quicker.
Yep. Did you watch
Not
the
that I'm
movie,
calling
Chester? Did
for
you get a
it,
chance to?
dude. My whole weekend was spent looking at a baby.
Just looking at it? You didn't just stared at it the whole time.
Yeah. But no, they
How's
had a
that
good
feel?
time.
What's that feel like being a grandpa? What's that feel like?
That's good. I don't the women are women. But I'm
No,
like,
never.
yeah, well, when he's old enough to talk or something like that. And they asked if I wanted to hold and feed him, and I said I'll feed him when I can buy him a beer.
You might not even be here still, bud.
I said doesn't matter. The sentiment is the same. But but he's pretty chill. He's actually pretty quiet baby. I'm surprised. But
Was your boy quiet, or was he a crier?
My daughter was super quiet.
The boy was
My
a crier.
son was a crier. Yeah, he needed his
Yeah.
mommy. If he lost sight of her for a second, uh-oh. Yeah,
You bastards! Where'd you do with her?
That's
You've
right.
done something.
He was very protective of his mommy. That's for sure.
That's funny.
But I
Mama's boys. It's a real thing. Mama's
yeah, it
boys.
is. But if you have a father there who does his job, it works out just fine, right?
Yeah.
Because he's very masculine, more than most Japanese, and of course he's found that works in his favor, right? Because he
Oh,
can
of course, yeah.
he can put his shoulder into something a little bit and get it done. Whereas most Japanese would be overly polite and soft. I did not raise that kind of boy, right?
No,
Yeah.
he's a bit of a bastard like his dad. I don't
Yeah.
believe it.
Fuck them if they can't take a joke. But I think I'm proud of the boy. He's doing a good job. My daughter has softened up a lot because she found a guy she actually likes, and
That's
married him. So
That's what happens.
That is what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, my family's doing really well. Knock wood, dude. It's going great.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good. That's what matters at the end.
I have to. They're actually starting to do like modeling with the baby, which is creepy. But that is kind of his wife is that type of person. She's the one that plans every event. She loves holidays. It's that type, right? And I have to admit though, because I have to understand, I've seen a lot of babies in my life, right?
Yep.
More than average, and the reason for that is a very peculiar thing, which Grimlock's going to laugh at me, I know, but I've been teaching here in this city for decades, and I've been running the adult Eikaiwa in Psyche for the same amount of time, and I don't know how it started or what happened, but I have always had a lot of ladies in my classes who are with their husbands, but of course Japanese marry later, which is not great for making babies, right? They're always trying to make babies. Of course, they have to go get doctors' helps for it and stuff like that. But I've had a lot of ladies over the years that are in my class, been trying to have babies for a long time, and all of a sudden they get pregnant, right?
Yep.
And it's become a legend, the Cheto magic.
Chester. So what you're saying is you have impregnated a lot of Japanese women.
I have not. See, I knew that was going to come.
That's what I heard.
No,
That's what I heard.
It's not. It's not at all true. However,
As far as he knows, he's only impregnated one. As far as he knows.
As far as I know. Well, two. Anyway.
Wait, what?
Yeah, but she killed that one. So.
Oh, that's rough. That's
Yeah,
some bullshit.
I was young too. That sucked. And I had no say in the matter. As is normal in America, men have no say at all. Isn't that wonderful?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, here's the thing. Because of this, they always bring their babies to show me. Okay. Fair enough. And I'm always cordial and nice and the baby, that babies make people stupid, right? But however, you know how they say babies are cute?
I don't, but yes, I know other people say that.
That's a fucking lie.
I know. They're not cute at all. The little gremlin creatures. What are we talking
There are
about?
a lot of ugly ass babies. A lot of ugly ass babies. I've seen a lot of ugly ass babies. A lot. Now I don't say that like, oh, what a cute baby. But I've seen a lot, and I've seen some cute ones too. I have to say, my grandson, even though it's mine, it is a very cute kid.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
about to say Chester used the Southern line. Oh, bless his heart on his own grandchild. He's like diabolical, man.
Now, I'm just saying, I mean, because I'm aware that people say this all the time and it's not true. But in this case, it is a really super cute kid. So it is what it is. And I understand why they're actually getting modeling stuff with that kid because he is a good looking kid. Very cute. More importantly, he's symmetrical. He's symmetrical because a lot of babies aren't. They're lopsided. They're symmetrical.
Measure the kid's head.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't have a squished head. He's not oblong. Everything is shaped correctly. He's symmetrical. If you bisect it,
that means your boy could pump out probably 10 kids. His wife is capable, right?
Yeah,
So there's no deformities. There's no right. That's a good sign.
Yeah. So and I know they're probably they're planning a cut, probably another 2. I think they'll probably have 3 total.
That's good. Japan needs it. Get them out. Pump them out.
They do, but he is happy with babies and she wants babies. Because
he's gonna have 7 kids. I'm calling it. I'm going number 7. That's the money. I'm putting it on the line right now. 7 children coming out of that line.
Well, I threatened her with 5. I said, you got to have 5. And she looked at me. But she actually kind of recalled a moment when I went. She had just had the baby, and we were over there, of course. And I'm sitting there talking with her in the room. It was back when she just had, literally had the baby the night before. And I'm sitting there making her laugh, and she acted like she was mad at it because she's hurting, and I'm making her laugh. And I was like, I'm a good boy. She got a kick out of that. I met her sister for the first time. Her older sister, but not that much older. They're still under 30, I think, all of them. She's got a couple of kids too. Her husband's a professional soccer player. But they got a couple of girls, and I'm like, so you got to have any? You got to get yourself a boy.
Them sisters married up, huh? Holy shit!
Did marry up quite a bit.
They must be quite pretty. Is what you're saying.
Well, his wife, I think she's cute. It's not my type though. Her
personality
sister,
though.
Also not my type.
No? Wow.
No.
He's like, I'm going the other way. Going the other way with it, Dad.
But my son kind of needs that kind of woman.
Yeah.
I'm a force of nature. So what I need is
you're a kaiju, man.
I know. I need a very super kind, friendly, good woman, and that's what I got.
Yep.
I got that.
Soften your edges. Yeah.
That's right. I need that, and he needs because she's very organized. She's like me in that way, right?
Oh, he married his daddy. In a
way.
Yeah.
And I think she's cute, but her sister.
So he must take after his mom,
dude. Her sister's a fucking smoke show.
Well, she married a fucking pro athlete. She better be.
Yeah.
So he takes more after his mom. You would say.
my son is definitely like his mother, 100%. Yeah, my
Yeah, that
daughter's
makes
like me.
sense.
Yeah,
So then he married his dad. I get it. It makes sense
yeah,
now
yeah,
because they say you usually marry whichever one of your parents you're the opposite of,
yeah, yeah. No,
right?
he did.
So yeah, I think that's what he. That makes
And my
sense. That
daughter
makes a lot of
married
sense.
my wife because he's very
A golden
soft,
retriever.
kind. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's all working out great because that's what you do need balance, right? Uh, but
yes,
um, but yeah, and their family they're normal people. Her dad works at the city office. Her mom works at a they make kimonos and stuff like that.
yeah.
The business she works for, but they're normal people. We get along really well. My son-in-law, his family are very normal people too. Although they're
Good.
probably a little closer to me because I'm a bit rough, I think, for most Japanese people. You know,
It's the Godzilla. He can't help it. Um,
I'm just American, and we're just and I'm not
we're a
one
little
of
bit
those
more
soft
rough and
demanding
tumble.
pamby
You know,
Americans. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, the
So
coastals.
it's a little much for them, but
Imagine how much of a coastal you'd have been if you'd have stayed in the coasts and then moved down south. But that's
oh,
one of the
I'd
things that
be
harden you up a little
insufferable.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you already are, but we suffer you. It's okay.
Yeah, but it's all great, man. And it was a
That's good
nice
though.
little event. Yeah, it was. And of course, I'm making jokes and goofing off. They have this thing at this ceremony where each person takes the chopsticks, right? And
Yeah.
picks up. He's got his own little special plate of food. Of course, he's 100 days old. He's not eating anything, but they'll take the chopsticks, pick up food, and they'll simulate him eating, right? And
Right.
then at the end, they even try to feed him a stone to be strong, right? It's just old tradition stuff. But of course, I have to be different. And I'm grandpa, so I had to go first. So actually, I ended up just sitting right next to him, and I picked up the umeboshi, which is a sour plum. I picked it up
Hmm.
with my hands, which is sacrilege, which I'm well aware of.
Oh.
Yeah. And they were,
Oh.
and especially the lady was like, "Oh no, well, hold on, do it like that." I picked it up and I just put this super sour. I just kind of put it on. You're supposed to simulate it, but I put it right on his lips, and he had that look in his face. So like, you're gonna know me, buddy. But it was hilarious because all the ladies lost their shit, right? Because you're not supposed to touch food with your hands, right?
Oh
It
boy.
was hilarious.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I think a lot of Japanese would struggle in many parts of America to deal with our, we'll call it abrasiveness. We'll call
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
We do
But
have an abrasiveness.
but they're also stupidly stubborn though at the same
Yeah.
time. So it might actually be a good thing if I dropped a bunch of Japanese in any kind of typical American place, it would soften the Americans up a little bit in a good way.
Yeah. Probably.
It would.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Especially with their ridiculous cleanliness, their over the top
sure,
cleanliness. Because
sure.
Americans, we're dirty. We're dirty people. When you get out, especially when you get out in the heartland in the rural areas, we'll keep our houses clean, but we keep our bodies pretty dirty because we're working. We got shit to do.
Yeah, I've never been
So
like
we
that. Yeah,
we walk around fairly dirty. Yeah, but you're a Yankee. You're a Yank.
that's true.
Well, you are.
That's true.
The Heartlanders, like me, and then the Southerners, we're a little bit more piss and vinegar insofar as we don't mind being a little dirty.
Yeah, I get
Uh,
it. Yeah.
yeah. I'm aware. A little mamby pamby over here.
Mhm.
But no, I do think that would be a little bit of a culture shock. Is how comfortable we are in the muck. One of the reasons we were able to tame this damn continent is because of that. The Americans are very comfortable getting dirty, living dirty, but we also try to keep our domiciles clean, which is very interesting. I find it interesting. You'll see online the discourse because a lot of people don't wear shoes in their house, right? Most of the world, a lot of the world, they don't bring their shoes in. They take the shoes off. I'm sure you do there as well.
Of course.
Um, and in America, that's largely not a thing. There's people who do it, but a lot of us will just wear shoes. Like I have house shoes. I have a pair of cheap Crocs that I wear in my house. Uh, and they're just befuddled by, oh, the house is just filthy. No, like how dirty are your
Well,
shoes?
I
What the
actually,
hell?
of course, have direct insight into that. And I
Yeah,
also add that the thing about Japanese also that would be beneficial in that situation, they're not arrogant at all or demanding. They don't
yeah,
expect you to be like them at all. There, so that's a good point. But the shoe thing
Right.
is kind of interesting. Of course, I lived in Japan for a very long time. They take their shoes off in the stupidest areas and the
Yes.
stupidest scenarios. However, because they're all on the ground here in tatami houses, although
Yeah.
that has been shifting, they the floor is cluttered with stuff. Whereas with American, we would never sit on the floor or do things on the floor, right? That's what
Less playing
tables
with a
are
kid, but
for.
yes.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And therefore, our floors are extremely uncluttered, right?
Right.
In fact, if you look at an American's, let's say, living room and compare it to a Japanese living room, our living rooms would be very Spartan, right? Comparatively.
Right.
And um, uh, to be fair, because of how they're always kind of on the floor, living on the floor, now they do clean. But I think their homes are more messy on average than the American, right?
Interesting.
Now I know right well we have some filthy Americans. We all know this, but most of us, if
Yes.
you go in the house, it's pretty neat. It's uncluttered. It's vacuumed and well kept. I mean,
Yeah.
on average. And I would say an American home is actually cleaner than a Japanese home. And not, once again, I'm not saying they're filthy, but I'm just saying it's cleaner just because of our
Right.
nature. And you wearing house shoes in the house is never an issue.
No. No. As isn't. And I've made this point. I don't know if it's true. It just seems like it's probably true to me. One of the reasons we have that culture is from the frontier
I'm
days.
sure.
It just never went away.
I'm sure.
Because they didn't really take their boots off, right? They needed to be able to move, and the houses they lived in had those slat wood floors
Sure. You
or
had
dirt
engines
floors.
to deal with.
Yeah, they didn't have time to sit around barefoot. They got shit to do, so they take them off when they went to sleep and put them right by the bed, so they could put them right back on when they got up.
That's right. But there's also a lot of misnomers, right? Like, for
Yeah.
instance, you remember that Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai?
Yes, I
And
love that movie. I think it's great.
it's fun. But there's a scene in there where he walks into a house with muddy boots, leaving muddy tracks, and that
Yeah,
was put in there for the Japanese because
yeah.
they have that image. But the fact is, and we, of course, we here know this, you don't walk in the house with muddy boots.
No,
No one
no,
does
not unless
that
you want to get your ass beat.
unless you
Mama
want to get
Bear's
your
gonna be
mom
kicking
will
your
go on
ass.
you, right? Grandma. But it's always funny because they always kind of inject that thinking in, and it made me laugh. I was in the theater and I laughed out loud
Yeah,
because we would never do that. But
and a
Japanese have that
military
image.
man definitely wouldn't do
Oh my
that. Like, what
God,
are we
no,
talking about?
never,
No,
never.
no.
Now, and he wouldn't necessarily take his boots off, but what he would do would clean them.
Yes, he cleaned
He
them
would
at the
sit
door
down and
before he
clean them at
walked
the
in.
door, is what he'd do.
Yeah,
Yeah. He wouldn't walk in traipse and ridiculous amounts of mud. That is
right.
not real. That's not a thing. And of
No.
course, another thing that's dumb about that is in at the end of Edo Jidai, coming into Meiji, here in
Right.
Japan, so the 19th century. The Japanese had roads, paved roads, cobblestone roads everywhere. They'd already
Right.
dealt with their mud issues.
Oh,
You
that's
know what I
funny.
mean? I mean, the Japanese
Right.
been around a little bit.
It was just one of those scenes where we want to show the difference in culture. That's all it was, even
Yeah,
though
it's
it's not
stupid.
real.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Right.
Yeah. And
They would have made a better point with like cutlery, I think, than they would have with that.
I think so too. But it's the
Yeah.
Japanese instantly got it because it's in their brain that's real. Now, to be fair, in that movie, they had an actual Japanese lady playing the pseudo paramour, right? Um,
Right.
so that was nice. Now, she wasn't the prettiest Japanese lady, but it fit. It fit just fine. Whereas Memoirs of a Geisha, which was that Spielberg? I think it was Spielberg.
I don't. Was it Spielberg?
I think that was Spielberg. But
Let's look that
it
up.
was a big Hollywood production, nevertheless. They had a Chinese lady playing the geisha.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Now she would look her though. She was banging. We don't have a lot of.
Memoirs of a Geisha.
Well, we don't have a lot of
No, that
gorgeous
was
women.
that was Rob Marshall. That's who that was.
Was it?
Rob Marshall.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I thought Spielberg was connected to it.
He might have been the producer.
Maybe it was through
something. Yeah.
Amblin Studios. Maybe.
Let's see. What does it say? Of course, it doesn't tell me that right off the rip, because why would it be easy? I have to click on the thing. Let me click on the thing.
Okay,
I'm going to click on the thing. Let's see if it says. Let's see. Memoirs of a Geisha. Yes, I know who the writers and the directors were. What studio? You know, I'm just going to ask them. Just going to ask Google. Google, tell me. DreamWorks, Spyglass,
No.
Emblem, and Red Wagon.
So Spielberg.
So there you go.
Yeah, all Spielberg,
Globally
yeah.
distributed by Columbia.
Yeah, okay.
There it is.
So that's why I thought, because it's his studio. But
Yeah.
and it's an okay movie, although it does have a lot of Western imagery. Because one of the problems with Hollywood is they love to show Japan, but it always looks like China.
Yes.
They don't understand
I
the
agree.
difference, and it is quite
No.
stark, the difference. But they always look like that. And of course, that movie also proliferated the myth that geisha are prostitutes, which they are not.
No.
In no
No.
way are they.
Very much not. Very much not.
No. As a matter of fact, if a Maiko, which is a Maiko is your everyday geisha. Geisha is like the top level, right?
Right.
The Maiko would be the normal one you would see. What they actually are, and modern day we have snack girls. They are the modern day Maiko. What they actually
Right.
are is entertainers.
Yes.
They would sit, play games, and drink, and play instruments and music. So yeah, they were highly flirtatious. It is that kind of situation, and I'm not saying certain things, something would take place, but they were certainly not prostitutes. Matter of fact, they would be highly charted, highly chided if they did.
Yes.
Like here in modern day with a snack girl, which is just the modern day geisha. They have an actual system. If you come in and you spend enough money over enough period of time, you can request to enter into a, I don't want to say dating situation, but kind of dating situation,
Hmm.
like a paid dating situation. It is I mean, it would technically fall under the umbrella of prostitution, I guess.
Right.
But it's so hard to see from our point of view, because for us, a prostitute serves a purpose, right?
That's right.
Now, I've never used one in my life, but I get why men do, because boy,
I do
does
too.
that cut through all the hassle,
Yep.
right?
And a lot of times, from what I understand, now this isn't super common, but from what I understand, a lot of times they don't even necessarily have like full sex. Some guys just go to them for, you know, oral or whatever.
Sometimes just an escort, literally.
Yeah, just an escort. Like it just depends on what the guy really what the guy wants and what she's willing to do. I long have since we need to adopt a more Eastern attitude towards it. Stop treating it as this horrific profession and let it have a little bit more credibility. And I think it would do everybody a service. The prostitutes
legalize
themselves,
it, license it,
the
tax it,
Johns. Yeah, it would be much more. It's still always going to be a little bit shameful, right? It's not going to be
Oh,
like
sure.
even over there, it's still shameful to some degree.
Sure.
But it's not going to be quite as criminal as it is here. Here, it's a completely vulgar job, right? Unless
Well,
you're like a
that's
high-end escort.
That's feminism, though.
Yeah, if you could, if we did rather, and we could legalize it, make it much more regulated, protect the women, protect the men, because they're the ones who get taken advantage of just as much as the women, by the way.
I'd say more.
Yeah, probably more. It would become much more respectable. That's the word I'm looking for. My mouth didn't want to say respectable. It would still never be respected, even though they've tried. They've desperately tried to make sex work as real work. Nobody buys that shit. You're a whore. You're always going to be a whore. And you know what? Largely, as long as you know that and you accept it, okay.
Cool.
I mean,
Well,
at the end of the day, okay, what am I going to do to you?
I don't really know the statistics. Maybe Grimlock does. But I would kind of imagine prostitution in America is on a downward trend, because the girls are so sluttish. I
Well,
mean,
that and like
No.
OnlyFans and stuff.
that's true. Yeah, but that's totally different, dude. That's I don't wanna
It's
hear it.
not to the men. To the
But,
men who pay for it, it's replaced it's replaced strip clubs for a lot of them. It's replaced
If I
whoring.
want a woman, I want her in my hands. I don't want her in that fucking video
Yeah,
shit.
but you're the type of guy who can get a woman. A lot of the guys who pay for that either can't or have no interest in pursuing it.
Yeah, but okay, but that's what the prostitute's for. I mean, you're a guy, can't get a
Yeah.
woman. Okay, fine. Don't have time for a woman. Okay, fine. So
Well,
you will pay for
OnlyFans
the
is,
prostitute.
and I don't use it, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do. But OnlyFans is much simpler. It's a website. It's completely anonymous. You don't have to risk some bullshit like a sting operation or whatever the fuck. There's none of that. It's 100% legal. In fact, there's nothing illegal going on OnlyFans. At least it's not supposed to be. So it's far more above board than a prostitute. Definitely than a prostitute, and even I would say than an escort. But I would say it's probably bigger than it ever was. Not because of OnlyFans, but because of Instagram and stuff. If you see a lot of these girls with these big accounts and they're basically only famous because they're
Bye,
pretty,
Roger.
almost every single one of them are whores. If
Yeah, that's
enough
fine.
money's thrown at them, they're going to get flown out to wherever, have sex with these guys, and that'll be it. And that's how they fund their lifestyle. I'm not even mad at them for it. I do
Well, if
think
you're
it needs
getting
to be
laid, okay,
cracked
fine,
down on. But
yeah.
But my point is, they're just escorts. Like at the end of the day, they're just prostitutes. They're just whores, because they're getting paid in gifts and in sometimes just direct money to come have sex with these wealthy men. And I've heard people who know these things say that the amount that it happens, society literally isn't ready for it, that conversation. It would
Oh, yeah.
rattle men
I
on a way that we've never been rattled.
I've seen some breakdowns on that, particularly what you're talking about, and
Yeah.
it is radical. However, we're talking about a very small subset of men, right?
Yes.
I'm talking about the average dude that doesn't have that kind of cash. He doesn't have
Well, they
that
have
kind
that
of
in
money.
Japan. They have, the hand job and blow job places.
Yeah, well, it's legalized, which I think
Right.
is a valid thing to do. Because those guys who don't have women, don't have time for women, can't get a woman, it allows them to go have physical contact and have sex. Like I said, I get
Yep.
it. It's abhorrent to me because I mean, it's just that feels like failure. But nevertheless, I understand it, is my point.
Yep.
But for the average dude who doesn't have the money to fly a girl out, the having that option, and especially in this day and age, I would think would be essential. Because I mean, come on, dude. I mean, what
I think it's
percentage?
coming.
Yeah,
I think it's coming. I think you're going to see a much more, I guess we'll call it acceptance of that becoming, because I've always thought it should be legal. I've always thought it should be regulated. My wife's the same way. It doesn't make any sense to me why it isn't, other than a bunch of, honestly, the truth of the matter is it's women who don't want it to be. The men would probably legalize it tomorrow and heavily regulate it and control it, just like we did tobacco and everything else. It's the women who don't want that, not the prostitutes themselves necessarily, but some of them, I'm sure. But the moms and the what have you, because then they have to sit at home and worry if their husbands are out banging whores, legally, not illegally. The legality level, the barrier, adds a barrier to entry for most men. I would say that they don't want to risk, getting in trouble. I do, but I agree. I think there's very little good arguments against it being not normalized but legalized. Normalized would be terrible. That you don't want. But it'd be better if it was legalized. And you had little shops like they do in Japan in the cities where men can just go and pay a girl and they have an hour with her, she'll jerk them off, blow them, whatever, talk to them, and that's it. That's the end of it. There's no weirdness about it. There's no grand awkwardness necessarily.
there should be.
And the guys, I actually, because Twitter automatically translates for us now, which is really nice. So I found this account of a guy who lives in Japan, one of the cities over there. I don't remember which one, and he talks about going to them regularly. He goes a few times a month, and he loves it. He doesn't. He knows he's even said, "I know I'm never going to get a wife. I know it's never going to happen for me for whatever reason. So this just helps me." He even said at one point, "I don't know how I would survive in America where it's illegal and far more expensive because of the
Right. The
legalities.
black market is more costly. However, I'm looking here, and it said that 27% of Americans are men are virgins. We know
Yep.
for women that's like zero, but
Right.
for the most part. But I think that number is low. I think that's way
Yeah,
low. I think
I
it's
think it's
way
higher than that
higher,
too.
way higher. But it is a problem. But then again, hopefully we'll see some switch back to more normal American thinking. Get out there, make some families. The problem is the women, of course, it always is in this
Yes.
conversation. But
Well, that's happening. What I mean by that is the people who are inclined to do it are doing it more so than ever. So, like the people who would just a generation ago only have had one or two children are now typically having 3 to 5, and that seems to be progressing even further. So I know personally, I have a cousin who has 9. She's my age. She has 9 kids, and she said she'd keep having more if she could, but she's aged out of it. But for the most part, because she just loves having babies. She loves being pregnant. She loves being a mom.
sure,
So, and she's been with the same guy. We went to high school together. Like they've been together their entire lives.
yeah,
So it's the people who are having them are having even more of them.
sure.
And that's why you see some of the statistics turning around for like the white birth rate actually went up for the first time in a long time, because the conservative people are just pumping kids out, just pumping
Yeah,
them out.
I yeah, I don't get it though. I never understood the difficulty. I mean, I think as an adult man, the longest stint I've ever had without having sex with a woman was about 30 days. And that was my
Mhm.
own choice because I was busy doing something, right?
Yeah.
Um, I've never had trouble putting a woman in my bed. I don't understand the difficulties the young
Well,
men have.
Chester, you're 6'3", buddy. That's a big help. That's a huge bonus. You're a musician. That's another huge
You
bonus.
know,
You have a nice deep voice. It's another huge bonus.
that is true.
You have a big build. You're not just tall and skinny, right? You're a big guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Bonus. You got bonus points stacked up. And I'm not even talking about what your face looks like because I honestly don't even really know that much. I don't know if you're pretty or if you're ugly. But to be honest, that's a lot of people want to give that a lot of credence. Unless you're like really pretty, most men are ugly. We just are. We're an ugly species when it comes to our face. Our bodies, I would say, have a certain beauty to them that artists have captured throughout all history, but the face is a mess, right? The male face is a mess,
I don't know.
except for the extreme rare men like your Brad Pitts or whatever who are just beautiful.
I don't know, but for me, I think it's a lot of attitude because like
And
just
that's the other part.
that is the
Yeah.
like this weekend, for instance, we went to because my mother-in-law, we took her with us, and she loves kimonos, material stuff, and
Mhm.
that's where Rio's mother works in that kind of place. And we went there. They were having an affair that day, and she bought some products, some dress stuff, and but nevertheless, I was over there and being introduced to all her coworkers and stuff, and they were all, on how handsome I was, and that which is normal for me. But
Jester, maybe you're just handsome, bro. Did you ever
maybe
think about
I
that?
don't really give a shit. But the
It's funny
funniest
because
thing, it actually made me chuckle out loud, dude. I was
yeah,
sitting at this, this very, very Japanese food place, and I wasn't really eating, but I wasn't angry. I mean, I'm just there. I'm happy and enjoying. I just don't want to eat this nonsense. But
right.
the little waitress we had taken care of us the whole time. I'm just normally joke and interact with people, and but she was all Twitter pated, dude. And then maybe I just laughed out loud because I mean she's like 20 something. And dude, I'm old. I'm Your dad's probably my age. Relax,
Or younger.
or younger. Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but there it is
Yes,
something Grimlock. But that's not my point. I really think if guys just went out and literally shot their shot, just went out and tried, I think they would find a lot better
the
success.
problem is it's just not worth it for most of these women. The reality is, I think a lot of men have come to the conclusion that pussy isn't that magnificent that we were told it was, and it's just not worth the trouble that most of these women are going to bring into your
Lies,
life.
lies.
Uh, I just think it's true, Chester. I think that's the calculus these men have done. It's just not worth the effort. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with them, but I understand where they're coming from, because the shit these women, the duplicity, the unbelievable gaslighting and shit that they they do all the time. It's at a level that we, even even my generation, it wasn't this bad. Your generation definitely wasn't this bad. Like, we've always had the idea in culture that you can't trust women. I like the phrase "never trust a smiling man or a crying woman," because what the fuck's he smiling about and why is she crying? Because they're manipulating you is usually the answer. But my point is, I do think that the culture around the females have changed. If you go and look at the stuff they watch, and most of them now, obviously I have an exception to the rule who's sleeping right now. She doesn't watch this shit, but most of them, the ones that these young men are having to deal with, are watching nothing but anti-natalist, anti-man propaganda all day, every day, and they genuinely despise and resent men. It's not an act. It's not misguided. I mean, it is, but it's not. They're not confused. They know what they feel. They know what they believe, and they genuinely hate men.
Yeah,
And because of that, they're incapable of being wives, of being spouses, of being even girlfriends.
True, but I guarantee you, younger me would still get him fucked.
Well, yeah, but again, the point is, a lot of these men, this is something that men like you cannot understand. Most men do not care about pussy that much. They just don't. It's not something they even really think about, except for when they're horny. Otherwise, they just don't think about it that much, because it's largely just another hassle, right? The reality is, most women are terrible in bed. That's just the truth. They're just not good lovers.
You got to train them up.
Because you got to train them, and men don't have time or the inclination for that. They're fine getting theirs. You know how a lot of women would complain, "Oh, he just gets his and rolls over," because he's fine with that.
Fuck that. That's not fun.
No, I don't do that either. I'm the type of guy, I'd much rather spend the effort and the time and the energy making her scream. But most men don't care. They just simply don't care about it. I know
that's half the fun.
I know it's anathema to you, Chester, that there's men out there who just don't care about getting laid. But I would say a good 40, maybe even 50% of men are like that. They really don't care that much. Well, it's not something they lose sleep over. They just don't care. And the reason why they used to do it back in the day is because, they needed families, they needed the security and the stability of that, and da-da-da-da-da-da. There was a lot of cultural pressure on being a father, having babies. All the antinatalist bullshit that we've been going through since the 60s have driven that out of men. Then you have these women are insufferable. They're just insufferable beings to be around.
I understand that the media makes it look that way, but how many of them are actually like that? I mean,
really? Most of them, the majority.
It's that bad.
I know. That's where you haven't been here in 3 decades.
No, dude, but Grimlock, come on now. I've passed up 10, maybe 100 times of pussy than I've accepted in my life.
Yeah,
I've turned down a lot of pussy.
But you're also talking about the women of your generations. We're talking about the women of the generations who have followed. They're not the same.
It'd be nice if they were.
Dude, between this shit and nowadays going out wondering if you're even fucking dealing with a woman to begin with, a lot of men are going, the truth is not worth the fucking squeeze. Look, if everything is gonna be transactional, you mean to tell me I could just pay for the pussy and be done with you? What the fuck you think? Like we've all said, men are more practical. If I could just sit here and
to stay to leave.
Yeah. You mean I can fuck you on Friday and Saturday morning have peace? What do you think I'm doing?
No, I get you, but I just know from personal experience, I've dealt with uppity girls before. You fuck them right there, the uppity goes right away.
For about an hour.
But also you're in but see, you're also unique because you're kaiju. You fit. Chester, this is not even a blow smoke up your ass. You're well over 6 feet. Do you know how many fucking women out here will openly, unironically say they would not date a man under 6'2", and she's like 4'10". She's a fucking hobbit.
Right? That's
You
true.
got the Baggins clan out here talking about who's got to be this tall to ride, and it's like, bitch, you're swinging from a man 6'2's nuts. He would know the difference between you and his pubic hairs.
Yeah, no, I've
The
never had
other
this problem. I understand that.
another problem that you'll run into is that a lot of these females are completely and utterly full of shit, and they'll say things like that, but then they'll have a litany of guys that they're banging who aren't that.
Yeah,
But they won't
all
bring
people are full of shit, though.
but
Everybody's
they
full of shit.
won't bring those guys around or admit to them that they're around. I would say honestly, in my experience from personal to otherwise, the men who are the most of what we call fuck boys aren't the big Chad like Jester guys. They're actually guys who are average height or, average everything. They just happen to have a little bit of game, and the women absolutely do not want to make them boyfriends because, for various reasons, right? Because the idea of a boyfriend for these women, especially nowadays, has gotten so bad, Chester. It's all about status for them now. Can I brag about him on my Instagram? Can I brag about him on wherever the fuck? Will my friends want to fuck him? And if you're not that guy for whatever reason, even if it isn't your fault, let's just say you were unlucky in the genetics, right? It's really, really hard to get a girl to do much of anything, even speak to you. Now, I will say I agree with you in one aspect. I think a lot of men are a little bit, well, not even a little bit, they're just pussies.
Yeah,
And they
that's
were
fine.
raised in an environment of it shouldn't be this hard. You just do this thing and you get women's attention. You get the money and now you get women. You get the job and now you get. That's not true. It's never been true. You were lied to. I'm sorry you were lied to. You want to get women? Stop caring about if you get women. And don't do it in like a defeatist way. Just talk to them like they don't matter to you, and it will work. I promise
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I don't. It just works. They just love it when you're a little
Yeah, no,
and
stop being
indifferent
so
to
nice.
them.
This is
Yeah.
definitely 100% true. Yeah.
But a lot of men don't even have the inclination for that because you have, and I don't think anybody hears this way, but a lot of these guys were raised by decent enough, not that our mothers weren't decent, were raised by fairly decent women or raised in a culture that told them that women are X, Y, or Z angels or princesses or whatever. So, because we've all,
I hate
especially
princesses.
Grimlock and I have been raised in princess culture, even if it wasn't necessarily directed right at us. All the women around us it was directed at, so we've had to deal with it from Disney and whatever, where every girl's a princess and you have to treat them like a little lady. Nah, some of these bitches is hoes. Treat them like hoes.
Yeah.
Like, just be honest with it.
Also remember this, Chester. You remember Eddie Murphy Raw?
Yeah, that was great.
Okay, remember what he said about women? That he said that women. All right, that he said women were smarter and more resourceful than they ever were at that point, and it would be an asset to men if they weren't so fucking vindictive.
Yes,
They've only gotten worse since then.
he's right.
It's like okay, it's like you were talking about shooting your shot. Yes, there was a time where you would go into the club at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whenever the fuck the club opened, and you go in there with the intention of meeting a girl, and you shoot your shot. And as men, we understand this. Men get rejected way more than women.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
But before it used to be, you meet a girl, you try to, you try to pick her up, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm not interested," or "I got a boyfriend," or whatever. Now, because it's social media, it ain't you just getting rejected. It's no, she's got to get her phone. Your ass is about to be content. It's oh hell no, this fuckboy just tried to. Look at this short nigga over here trying to get me. He looks broke. He looks dusty. He look like this.
Well, don't be broke or dusty.
You don't.
It doesn't matter if you are.
It doesn't matter. You can be sitting there. You can be sitting there with a couple mil in your bank account, but if you don't look the part, or you're not tall enough,
Well, if
Chester, you
you're
have
not
you
dressed to
have
play the game, what the
you
hell are you
have
doing?
dudes. Chester, you have dudes who are actually getting their legs broken on purpose to lengthen them
Oh yeah,
so they can get
I've
over.
seen that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
that's
could do
not
that.
a.
I only need about 3 inches. I could do that easy. I'd be right there in that sweet spot, right where you want to be. I get that leg length and be a 6 foot man. But I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
That doesn't. That's not my conversation. But yeah, I don't know. I do know, like
I
in
think there's a
my
lot of real quick. I do think there's a lot of it's a little bit of both. I think a lot of guys like yourself who didn't have a lot of trouble with it, largely because of genetic benefits and just attitudinal benefits. They just don't understand why a lot of these men do. But the real reason why, at the end of the day, is because they were raised in a culture that told them they were wrong for even thinking that a woman is sexy outside of doing it in private, watching porn or whatever. Our culture has become so anti natalist, so anti what's the word I'm looking for? Male sex drive, right? The male gaze they call it, but really they're just saying, "Hey, men, you're wrong for having a sex drive."
uh
That's what men hear.
and
That's
then
how
what
men
you say
internalize it.
is "fuck you, go
Well,
away."
And but when you
also,
do it enough from the time that they're very young children and they're constantly
Oh,
punished
I
and
get that. It's
ostracized
propaganda.
for it, eventually you're just like, you know what? This ain't worth it. I'm just gonna go play fucking video games and watch porn. It's just
Therefore,
easier. I don't gotta deal with it.
back to the original comment. There is just too many damn pussies.
I agree.
well, no,
I think
not even pussies. Look at the all right. Let's do it. The last 10 years of the fucking Me Too movement, where we're just talking about women being vindictive. Every bit of regret sex these bitches ever had, they went after these men, and they used the full extent of the law to do it.
yep, that's true.
And these men had their lives ruined. They had their reputations permanently tarnished. Johnny Depp hasn't had a job since even though he beat Amber Heard in court, the nigga hasn't had a job since.
Yep,
Trevor
ruined his life.
Bauer, Trevor Bauer was completely vindicated. Major League Baseball still refuses to reinstate him. They still will not pay that man the money they took from him.
I
That
see.
man lost over almost $200 million. If you're a young man and you see shit like that, look even Vince McMahon, for as degenerate as Vince is, look at the bullshit that woman's taking him through, and the more evidence is coming out, the more and more it shows she was a willing participant.
Yeah.
Not only that, from basically Jump Street, she was saying it's all you guys are full of shit. I never said any of this. I never said that you drugged me. I never said I was only 25. I never said any of that. She's been actually more on his side. And at one point, she was literally like, I want to talk to Vince. That's what she said. She still wanted to talk to him. But it was because she was surrounded by a culture and a bunch of lawyers and whatever that were pushing this narrative of him as a predator, a predator, a predator. He's a rich, powerful man preying on this helpless woman. They needed that so that they could get paid, but the only reason they were able to get away with that bullshit is what Grimlock's talking about, the culture around them. And you have a whole bunch of young men in their formative years when they should be able to just walk up to them like, hey, I think you're pretty. We should go out sometime. Just that simple, right? They can't do that because now they're worried that that bitch is going to be one of the crazy ones and she's going to ruin his entire fucking life. And if a guy like Johnny Depp can't get away with it, if a guy like Bauer can't get away with it, these men have all the resources in the world, they definitely can't get away with it.
And hell, go even further than that. These young men are watching streamers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Tectone, the bullshit that happened with him. This
Yep.
woman breaks up. This woman breaks up with him, and a year later, she decides that she was raped and gets the courts in Texas on her side to where she gets a restraining order placed against him. He gets his guns taken away from him. And when you read through the documents, they didn't even have a traditional sex. The most they had was oral sex, and she just broke up and had people whispering in her ear, and because it felt like rape to her, the court you have again, and you got these activist fucking judges again. If you're a young dude and you see shit like this, and God forbid you know somebody close to you that's gone through this shit, why would you fucking put yourself out there?
No, I get it. I understand, but I also would say this: Never let any person come between you and your money, ever. You
I
have to
agree.
protect your money. You have to make sure that it is aside from you. You never let people in a position that they can affect your money, ever. And if you did that, that's on you, dude. That's on
Well,
you.
the problem is you have the state, and the state can always affect your money. And they're on the side of these women more often
Not
than
if you
not.
move it outside of the states.
Yes, they can. They can still get it. There's very few places you can take it where they can't get it.
Yeah,
Federal government is basically all powerful when it comes to money.
that is true.
Even crypto, they can get a hold of that. Even if the only way you can really protect crypto is if you have it separately, an encrypted device with it separately on it. And even then, all they have to do is get the device, and then they can. You just they'll get the code out of you. I promise. My point is that there are limits to how far you can resist it. Now here's what I'll say. Like I said, I agree. I think men need to, if that's the life they want, if they want a wife and they want kids and they want the whole thing. Largely, it's the young men pushing for that. I know you've seen this stat that the young women, for the first time ever, the young women don't want that. It's at the bottom of their priority list is children and a husband. That's something's wrong. Because it should be the women that are pushing for the domicile, the domesticity.
And that's why things are the way they are. It always comes down to what the women want. Society,
Which is why
not men.
The young men are just like, fuck it. I'm not going to get what I want out of this. I mean, yeah, okay, pussy's great and they want to get laid. And it is great. But what the end goal of it is to find a girl who's worth making a wife and making babies with, right? And if that isn't the end goal of it, for most men, it's not really worth doing because either they don't have, like I said, the inclination, the time, or the ability to pull women whenever they want. So when they finally find one that, is interested back and she's cool and they want to do something with her, and then they find out she's fucked 100 dudes and they're like, oh man, that's just like, that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking on a level that it's really hard to quantify if you've never experienced it. Because now you're like, well, I mean, there's nothing special about you at all. Everybody's fucked you, right? It's you completely ruined your value as a female if you've done that. But because their culture has told them that it's
100%, yeah.
Because their culture has told them that it's okay. It's okay. I saw this thing. There was a girl, one of these posts where this girl was talking about she was 21 years old. She already had sex with 66 men at 21. I said, what the fuck, dude? That's pro numbers. That's some professional level ball in there.
No, I've never played with a girl like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the point, is you don't know anymore. Because of things like dating apps and social media, they can do it so much more sneakily now than they could have before, and you just can't possibly know. I mean, I see stories all the time of these men who marry these women. They didn't know about it, or maybe they even did know about it, and she just changes up on them out of nowhere, and because the state's on her side, they're kind of fucked. They either just get divorce raped and lose everything or almost everything, or they have to stay with her in a completely sexless situation and be miserable because if they step outside, she's going to divorce rape them. So I personally say to those men, hitmen are cheaper. I won't clarify. Hitmen are cheaper. That's all I'm going to say.
That's marriage is a different conversation we were having before, though.
Yes, but the point is, for most men are romantics, Chester. So you're not a romantic guy.
No,
you're just not.
I have no.
That's one of your strengths.
At all. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be one of your strengths. It can be one of your weaknesses. Most men aren't. We're incredibly emotional. We're incredibly sentimental. Very romantic. I'm not. But I know a lot of men are. Now, I am with my wife because she's my wife. But with every other woman, no, I don't care. I don't give a shit. But most men aren't like that. Most men are extremely romantic. They want the dream. They want the wife. And for a lot of men, she doesn't have to be a virgin, but she does have to have a pure spirit, which the sad reality is, as you know, the more cocks they take, the more their spirit gets trampled in most women. There's very few women who are capable of that.
They're not worth marrying. Don't marry them. Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's the problem. Is these men? That's what these men want. I think the solution here is the men need to become more cavalier. They need to stop worrying about relationships and romance and any of that, and just go treat these women like they want to be treated, because that's how they want to be treated. They want to be cock sleeves, then treat them like cock sleeves. Simple as that. And then what the final solution, as if you will, is going to be the sex bots and the artificial wombs. and the romantic men are going to end up with them because they're going to get their family that they want. They're going to be able to
That
raise
is
their
gonna
kids.
be devastating for women, dude.
And that's when the women will soften again. Women soften when catastrophe hits. When everything's good, then they can be as much a whores as they want to be, right? And they will be. We know that in abundance, women will choose hedonism over discipline throughout all of history. When you're in abundance, the women become hedonistic. When you're in scarcity, they become far more disciplined. They're chameleons like that. They can switch up very quickly. Everybody's seen a woman do it. She went from being a big old hoe to all of a sudden she just turned a switch back. Nope, now I'm going to be pure. I'm only going to have sex with one man forever, and they just turn that switch. The problem is they can turn it back, right? They can turn it off and on, and that's terrifying. But I've seen it 100 times, right? Where there were girls I knew who were absolutely sluts, who ended up married to some, decent guy who wasn't that, and he either has no idea or he's accepted, that that's just the way it is, and she treats him okay, so he doesn't let it bother him. My point is, I do think you're going to see that. I think once this hits, and it's going to hit within in the next decade. You say longer, but I think it's closer than we realize. Functional ones, they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be full data like androids or anything, but they're going to get the job done. And I think once that hits and starts to catch, Elon said he wants to make his robots, his Optimus robots, about the same price as a lower level sedan. Brand new, right out of the box.
Well,
now these aren't the sex bots.
Is what he wants to get it to. He said,
Right. If he can get it around 10 grand, he thinks that's the sweet spot where he'll be making profit per sale enough to keep doing it. And I think the sex bots will probably be a little bit more than that, depending on what they have. Because it's gonna happen. It's inevitable, right?
Oh yeah. No,
I do think it's inevitable, and once it happens, and once it becomes a little bit more normalized, I do think you're going to see a massive push. You're going to see feminism ramp up in a way you've never seen it before, and they're going to be pro-natalist feminists, which we've never seen. They're going to be pro-family. They're all about that family values. This is an abomination. They're going to all of a sudden they're going to become Christians, deeply Christian, right? They'll be talking about God and how God didn't want it this way. You're going to see all of that, and most of the men are just going to be like, yeah, and we tried. You wouldn't listen. Same shit that's been happening since Adam. We tried. You wouldn't listen. Yeah. Now, hopefully, men don't take the apple this time and just let the women stew in their own mess. But we'll see.
Oh well, the interesting thing you mentioned the apple. I've always gotten a kick out of that because, as I've said before, most people don't actually read their religious text.
Yeah,
and that includes Muslims. Right? They don't actually read shit. You realize if you go read the Adam and Eve story, all the movies, everybody's perception is wrong. Adam never ate the apple. Never. He just decided that his life would not be would be nothing without her, and stayed with her. That's what happened. You'll have all these. Everyone thinks Adam ate the apple. He did not eat the apple.
Well, regardless, he chose Eve.
I know.
When
That's
given the option
point that I'm trying to make in this conversation. But it is really interesting because lots of people think Adam ate the apple. He did not. Right?
I would say,
as men often do, incorrectly.
yes.
he made a choice, and he doomed himself. And I'd say he was probably happy about it.
In the story, I think his betrayal was far worse for God than Eve's.
Probably.
Because Eve was deceived. She's an idiot, but she was deceived. She still chose it, but she was tricked. Adam wasn't. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing was wrong, and he did it anyway. And I think it would probably be, if I was God, I'd be a little bit more upset at that. Like, hey, wait a minute. After all the stuff I did for you, you're going to choose that? Man, you know what? Everything hurts now. How about that? Now everything hurts.
Yeah. But, I mean, what a lot of people misunderstand is because there's a lot of people start to say the apple is sex. But what they miss is that sex was an aside of it. Right?
Right. Right.
And, because there were two things going on. One was her eating the apple that she was told not to because she was told not to. And the second was the sex, which he did partake in this. And this is why you have so many of the older texts that basically look at Cain and Abel as being Abel is the son of Adam and the egg of Adam, and Cain is the seed of the serpent. In the
Hmm.
older stories, they theorize about this, right? And you've seen kind of a return to that in many theological conversations these days. But because that was his sin was sticking with her, defending her, and having sex with her, is
Hmm.
what the text infers. The apple is a separate issue, because understand the desperation of the story. The creator, whatever that is for you, but the
Hmm.
creator was not upset that she ate the apple. The creator was upset that she might eat the other fruit, right?
Right.
It was the because was she ate from the one of life and death, was it? No, the tree of knowledge. But
Knowledge of good and evil.
good and evil, right? But the other one was life and death, I think, and that was the concern that she would eat from that tree. That's what the creator was upset about, not the apple that was eaten, whatever that apple is. It
Right.
was the other fruit, and a kibosh needed to be put on that immediately because it would make them immortal like God. And
Right.
that was the issue. A lot of people miss that as well. But it is interesting, especially when you start looking at some of the older stories, the older versions of the story. In my, for me, I like the oldest version we have is the most interesting one, right? Because that actually is almost unrecognizable to the one you have in your King James. But nevertheless, that is neither here nor there. I did have a few things to look at today. Not so much. I mainly want to just come in here and talk about 4th of July today, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's all good and well and good. And I think today I'm actually cut a little bit short because I do need to run in a little earlier than I normally would. So I'm not going to go to what for me is usually 12:30. I'm going to wrap it up. However, so there's just not much interesting stuff to look at today anyway. But I will take a look at the box office here in a second. And I find the box office very interesting because it didn't pan out the way they wanted to this weekend, and I think, and they're confused about it. Of course, they are. But I think my guess is people were out actually enjoying the 4th of July, having a good time. I think
Yep.
that's why no one went to the movie theaters because, hey, we're doing the 4th this weekend, dude. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's a big. It's only get one of these 250.
Yeah.
Not
No,
getting
I
another one.
100% agree. And I think people really had a good time this year, which I think is important. Now, there are, of course, all the stuff going on with the Odyssey. Who knows how this is going to turn out? But there's just so much nonsense. I do know that this girl now, Ellen Page, she, to be fair, she is not really making any comments at all. She went and tried to tell men what it's like to be a man and how to be a good man, which is stupid. But she hadn't really commented on this. This Lupika Naganda, what is her name?
Niago.
Nyago. This
I
girl.
mean, from that picture, I want to say the Great Ape.
Well, she's lost
No,
her
that's
shit.
Joy Reid.
She has lost her shit because now she's just mocking Homer and mocking the whole thing. So
Of course she is. Yep.
she's in
That's the next
trouble.
step.
Well, that's good because she is exposed to not knowing what the fuck she was talking about. So now, like a lot of them do. Oh, now you're gonna mock it. It's like, nigga, that's not gonna help you.
Yeah, but she's going to
No.
be forgotten in a decade. Homer has been around for millennia, right?
Yes.
So
3,000 years or so, something
yeah.
like that.
So
Yeah.
get a grip. But of course, people are on and on about that, and that's fine. There's this constant roll on this. However, I'm kind of curious beyond all the arguments and the internet noise. Do you think this movie's going to make money or not?
Yes,
Mm,
not as much as they think it will, though.
I think it'll break even.
Yeah,
The
it'll
thing
probably
is,
get break even or close to, a little bit over.
I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised if it hit around, ended around 500 million.
I'm gonna be honest. I would love it if it failed.
it'd be great. Unfortunately, Nolan has a lot of dick writers. I think they're gonna prop it up.
That's
Uh,
true.
and I personally don't know why. Even though The Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies, that's it. He got one, and the rest of his movies are sanctimonious, glib. Like I don't know. But a lot of people love that. They love
Yeah.
this self righteousness that he has.
Right.
Uh,
Well, I've never
and
cared
I
for it, but some people really do
don't
like it.
love it in movies personally. Yeah, I think it's just eh.
But
So we'll see. We'll
the
see.
only real big knock I have against Nolan, he's the one that brought in the sepia tone, and I freaking hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we know this has been a big, huge noise. They're going on about in this one about Ellison, and a lot of these people are going to lose their jobs, and they don't seem to be aware of it because Ellison and his
It's going to be a
ilk
glorious day.
yeah, because they're well aware of the absolute moral and just financial bankruptcy of Hollywood, and he has said this very, very clearly. So you
Yep.
got that. um, this is the thing I want to talk about while I drop over here real quick. Is this movie, which we all assume would just make boku money, did not. And I think it's just because it's the 4th of July. Next week it'll probably pick up. This right here, Please God No.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean
Okay,
this
first of all,
yeah.
she is not even remotely sexy enough to be Emma Frost. Granted, very few women are. But I've never understood why anybody finds and from what I understand, men don't. We
Well,
just don't find her attractive.
and she doesn't want to. This is a full-on lesbian. She's openly about it. She
Yes.
hates men. Sabrina Carpenter is an anti-male lesbian and doesn't want men anywhere involved in her business. Fair enough. This is
Yes.
not that. So if you bring her in for Emma Frost or Dazzler, who are girls who use their femininity quite a bit and rather enjoy it, it
Heavily.
doesn't make sense
Yeah.
for her. And
They're very
she's
much
very
succubuses.
unattractive. Yeah.
Very
But
succubi.
what have we said about this before? You know exactly. That's exactly why they will bring her in, because they'll bring her in knowing she hates men, and there'll be some bullshit. But this is a really great time to reimagine the character,
Oh yeah.
and it'll be about
Uh-huh.
her discovering her power and her not needing men. Meanwhile, this bitch is a two bagger because I don't see her. I don't get her appeal. Like
No. Well,
she's
yeah.
she's not even a generic white woman. Like I
No, she's unattractive, but like I said, that's fine with her because she is a full-on lesbian. All her songs are anti-male. This girl hates men. Now, she is one of the big head, short neck, no neck midgets that we see that
Yes.
run throughout. She's very typical. If I just saw her face, I'd say it's a transgender, but I have no clue. But it doesn't matter.
There is an uncanny valley situation going on with her face.
She's,
And men
she's just a big head.
instinctually just look at her and like,
Yeah.
no.
But fair
No.
enough. But I'm just saying because you guys know I don't really care about those things, but she doesn't either. This girl has no interest in men whatsoever. She's very anti-male. She's a lesbian,
Yeah.
and that's what she wants. And if Marvel, the people over at Disney bring her in for this, well, you're gonna have to match the character to that because she's not like the Emma Frost or Dazzler. That's not their character, but we know they rewrite everything, so it probably doesn't matter. Emma will be a full-on lesbian to accommodate her. But yeah, this
yeah,
girl
but
is one of the worst. She's just full on,
I keep
full on.
saying the X Men, even more so than the Fantastic Four, will live and die with its cast.
Yep.
If they get even so much as one casting wrong, this movie's dead. That's how bad it is. They cannot afford to fuck up a single character here because the X Men. Ironically, you bring this up, but the John Byrne book that I was telling you about that he's done,
Hmm.
it is sold so well that it's on its third printing already.
Yeah. This
Amazon right now, there is such a backlog on Amazon they can't even tell you when they're getting the next supply in.
Yeah.
They had to cancel because I was trying to get it. And they had to cancel my order because they ran out.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Now, with this girl as well, though, Grimlock, this is a completely manufactured character. This is Hollywood or the entertainment industry said this is your new superstar, and they made it so. There's zero organic nature to this girl. Now I don't know how popular she really is in the day to day, but I do know that if it's her agenda or somebody else's, I do know that her main thing is all about men are horrible. Every song she does is men are horrible. In her videos, she actually kills men, literally kills them, right? In her
And
videos.
she's extremely popular with young women.
Is she? Is she, or is that just
Yes.
manufactured? Is my
No,
point.
she is.
Because this is a created character. She is
Yep.
100%
Well, so
inorganic.
is Taylor Swift.
Yeah, yeah, well,
And she's
yeah.
also very similarly anti-male. Uh, these it's not on accident. We'll put it that way. It's very intentional. I mean, when you listen to a girl like Adele sing, and then you listen to this slut sing, and you're gonna tell me Adele shouldn't be a bigger star than her? That's outrageous. That's outrageous. That woman can sing, but because she's
Well,
not, out here talking about how much men suck all the time, they're not going to push her like they would a Carpenter or a Taylor Swift. So that's why you have what you have. That's why
see,
you have these two being pushed to the moon.
she got man child here. This one right here, she literally just put a guy in the trunk. It's she's very anti-male. I wouldn't say she's a singer anyway. She's more of a talk melodic speaker.
Well,
It's
you
that
know what I'm
type.
saying, though.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's no reason why in the entertainment industry that's supposed to be about talent, she is. I mean, she's because it's not. You can't even say like, well, she's just really pretty. She's not.
She's
She's
not.
doesn't. She's not sexy. She's not pretty. She's got nothing going for her.
She's probably
For
4'10", I think. Has
Yeah.
that midget, no
Which
neck,
you know what?
big head thing going on.
Which is weird because my wife's only 5 foot tall and she has a much better figure and proportions than this creature does. It's very looks like she has some form of like weakened dwarfism or something. The way she's built.
Yeah,
Uh, that's what she looks like to me.
yeah.
And
But
it's
whatever. It would be weird to have her as Emma Frost. I know that.
no, Emma Frost needs to be an absolute like they honestly I don't think they have anybody in Hollywood that could touch Emma Frost.
No.
Emma Frost needs to be an absolute 10 out of 10 hot type girl. Uh, Smoke show beyond anything you can even like. She's the type of woman who every man doesn't matter who he is. You're gonna go, holy shit! As soon as she walks into a room, that's Emma Frost, and she knows it and she uses it. And she also can read your fucking mind, so that's also another problem. So you're not going to get that with some little midget bitch. You're not going to get it with a bitch with just a decent body like a Sydney Sweeney who has an ugly alcohol fetal syndrome face. Uh, you need somebody who actually radiates beauty.
Well, someone who
Genuine.
also has and understands sex appeal. You need that.
Yes. Yes.
But
A
whatever.
genuine. I would say you need a genuine 9 or a 10, like an objective one. People that everybody would agree is that high.
Yeah.
And they just don't have anybody in Hollywood that I can think of that's even close to that right now. So it'd be very hard to cast Emma Frost.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. But that girl in particular, if you got people use the word psyop a lot, that is definitely what she is. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's come over here now. Minions and Monsters this weekend. That is from the cost we know they have for these movies. That is not great. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
But 60 million domestic. It's a lot better than Supergirl. Way better, right? But that's not great money. They probably were expecting, 3 to $500 million weekend, right? But I think that really
and that's
comes down to the celebrations, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say Fourth of July weekend, and and Minions are mostly for kids. You ain't gonna get too many people your age. You and the missus ain't going to see the Minions.
No, we when my kids were young, we did.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like you and the missus, like if you win the town, you're not going to see the Minions.
No, of course not.
I'll also
But
say one of the problems the Minions have is a lot of kids' movies do have an element that's clearly for the parents, right? They have jokes that are clearly meant for the parents or whatever. Toy Story is a perfect example of that. Minions doesn't really have that because they don't really talk, right? It's almost all slapstick kind of humor, so it's directed entirely at kids. So even then, a lot of the parents are going to be a little bit more reticent to go because they're literally just sitting there watching a bunch of little creepy dudes with one eye or whatever walk around and make noises and do silly gags that make kids laugh. But most adults are just going, okay, right?
yeah.
It has no appeal to an adult at all. Whereas like Toy Story, you can watch Toy Story. My wife and I just watched it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's funny. It does its job. The old Disney movies are the same way. Aladdin, Lion King, whatever.
Yeah.
They have enough maturity in them that an adult can watch it and it be entertaining.
Sure.
These don't. The
And
Minions
that
movies.
is the goal. Minions, I get. I think it'll pick up next week though.
Look
Toy
at Toy Story.
Story, plenty of
Woo
money.
boy.
They're in the black for sure. Now this was an interesting little thing. Young Washington. They've already confirmed the sequel, by the way. Um,
Yep.
this is from Angel, and it came out with 20 million, 10 million in their pocket, and they're probably not too far off their budget. I bet.
They're not. From what I understand, their entire budget was around 25 to
Yeah.
30 million with advertising and everything. So they're one more week if they and they're only in half the theaters. If they can get a wider release, they'll make their money easily.
Yeah. No. I
And
think
that's
they
only in
did
America.
well.
They did that. They
Yeah.
didn't. They're
Sure.
not even released internationally.
Wow.
I think they'd be surprised it would do decent in certain places overseas.
Sure.
Washington is Washington. He's people know that man, know that name.
I saw a couple of clips. It looks fine.
Looks pretty good. Chris Pratt was all of it. He went and saw it. Apparently, he loved it. He was saying this guy, whoever's starring it, who's playing Washington's a star. Someone needs to sign him immediately and get him everywhere. That's what he said.
Oh, that's cool. Wow, this thing, dude. Holy crap.
Look how many theaters they lost. They lost over 1,000 theaters in one weekend.
Yep.
Wow.
This is just going to get worse and worse. So huge money loss. Let's see what Spielberg's last venture. How's it doing? Ooh. Yep, that's a money
Not great.
losing money too. Let's see what these two big ones are because they're still in the top 10. Holy shit.
Look at that. Look at them go.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous amount of money.
Over almost. It came out 2 months ago, May 15th. So almost 2 months ago that came out.
Yeah.
And look at that go.
Yeah, crazy. Let's see here. Not many things open this weekend, which makes sense. I mean, do you really, people go and do things on the 4th. They don't go to the movies, dude.
Oh boy.
Whatever this is. I usually just show them all anyway. But yeah, not much. So there really wasn't much going on this weekend, which makes sense. I have a feeling Minions will probably do better next weekend. Toy Story still going to rake in money. You think it'll hit $1 billion though? I don't think so.
It's going to have to. Well, it's only been out 3 weeks. It depends how long they let it run. If they let it run long enough, probably, but just barely. But I don't think they're going to. I think they understand, at least I hope they do, that they'll be better off, get their big chunk, and just put it on streaming, watch it at home, and they'll be able to draw more money in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're going to see because it's Disney, and Disney is one of the for all their faults, and they are many, they're one of the forebearers, if you will, the originals when it came to the streaming and turning that into to make money off of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see them bring that off and bring it onto their streaming networks.
Sure.
Because it just makes sense for them, right? That's one of the best ways they can make their money is through Hulu and Disney Plus.
How many Minion movies are there right now? I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what you'll see with Toy Story and Minions. Eventually, they'll just pull them. I think one of the reasons why Mario had such a long run is because it's not made directly by somebody with a proper streaming service.
Yeah.
one of the things you're seeing now is how important the streaming services have become to the market, with MGM being owned by Amazon. I mean, Bezos directly said himself that the box office isn't what the important number is for us anymore. It's the total views on the service. Is a far more important metric for them than it is what happens at the box office. So the box office for most of their stuff is just going to be, gravy. It's just extra money, bonus money, if you will. And I think that's probably going to be the case for all of them going forward. Once again, I think Bezos is going to be a pioneer. He's always been. Fair play to him. And I think you're going to see a lot more of these limited releases at the box office that the objective is to scoop up a big weekend or two and then just slap it on the streaming service and let it run fucking forever and
Sure, why
constantly
not?
be making money for them.
Yeah,
I think it's just a smart play. Use the theater as an event and then go home, basically.
sure. And I think something like Minions will do well in that setting, of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
there's
they'll be
always
fine.
people
They'll be
always
fine.
put their kids in front of the TV instead of doing something with them. But nevertheless, very good. Like I said, I got to leave a little early today. I have some extra things to do. But that's that. So Grimlock, you got anything to add to these people on the 4th of July weekend?
I don't know, man. I would say, if anything, these, the America 250 and, seeing how foreigners are reacting to our country, some gratitude, this at this time of year, would do wonders.
Yeah, it would. It
You
would.
know, I'm,
Yeah.
you know, are we a perfect country? No. There's no, whatever perfect is, or whatever that is in your mind. That's never gonna be. But what you can have is a country where you can pretty much do what you want as long as you ain't hurting nobody. I mean, really, ain't too many places you can go where you can openly talk shit about killing your president and you don't get killed. So,
Right, or even arrested. Yeah, that is true.
so
Yeah. Excellent.
I mean, I would say be grateful. I know we usually say that during Thanksgiving, but I think it applies to this time of year too.
I agree. 100%. All right. Thank you very much, Grimlock, and thank you all. We'll see you next time, guys. Keep in mind 2 days. I will be doing a one shot on Bugbear's Basement if you want to come in for that. But other than that, Thundero, take us out of here, man.
I'm going to use the words, paraphrasing it a little bit, of one of the greatest Americans to ever live, who said probably, arguably, the most famous line, the most famous battle cry, if you will, maybe of all time, but definitely of the American Revolution, Mr. Patrick Henry. And he said, "Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war has actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God! I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death!"
Yeah. Namaste. Later, everybody.